What an intro! You say you didn't silence your cell phone. What the hell?
No. Oh, did my cell phone go in? Anyway, I just want to welcome everybody to another edition of Comics Cast. Let It Out on a beautiful. Well, actually, it's kind of a rainy March 28th here in Virginia. So welcome. Rick is my fabulous co-host, and he's over that way. Yes, yeah. Rick, say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody.
Yeah, so
I hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. I'm in a great mood today. I can't wait to harass you. I mean, have fun with you.
Okay. So he woke up this morning and said, "You know what? I feel like harassing Gerald." But anyway, I'm glad that we got Maria saying hi. Hey Maria, how you doing?
Hello. We got a listen as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of familiar faces in our chat group.
We got Molly.
Hey, I just want to take this moment to talk a little bit about what Comics Cast is about. Comics Cast is a show that's designed to promote independent creators, and that goes for pencilers, writers, inkers, publishers, distributors, you name it. If they're in the independent creative arena, we want them on the show so we can get eyes on them. And Let It Out is just another show. It's an extension of Comics Cast, and what we do is we feature artists and writers, the teams that I just talked about, and we put them on the show and we draw along with them. So it's not necessarily an interview and draw along. It's more of a conversation and draw along. So that's what Comics Cast is about. That's what Comics Cast Let It Out is about. And hey, we got John there too. Hey, John. And just like that, I think it'd be a good time to plug our YouTube. My professional co-host, do you have that ready to go? Oh, I caught him not being pro. Here you go. So pull that up. I'm going to show the banner. This is how you can find us on YouTube, which is Indie Comics Cast. Indie Comics Cast. There we go. Rick, you're so talented, so professional. So if you go to Indie Comics Cast on YouTube, you can see the plethora of videos that we have. And if you click on the video, yep, there you go. You can see we have, I don't know, I even lost count how many videos we have, but
more than four. More than four.
Yeah, a little bit more than four, maybe 5 or 6 you can see there. But yeah, this has all of our past episodes of Let It Out. There's also the Artist Roundtable, the art show, as well as that wonderful introduction bumper that we had. But I want to let everybody know that you can click and subscribe. Hey, Rick, I'm so proud of you. You have the subscription button clicked already, and you want
to. Again, the boss told me this time I needed to stay clicked because YouTube algorithms. So I need to listen to the boss.
Yes, you can't bust our algorithms. You got to make sure that you're subscribed, and you want to click that little bell and make sure that you get all notifications. So that way you will see everything that Indie Comics Cast and Comics Cast bring to the interwebs, and you can be on top of all of that. So anyway, like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Comics Cast, and again at Indie Comics Cast on YouTube. We definitely want your support because we want to keep on putting eyes on all of our guests, especially our guest for today. So Rick, don't make me have to do the drum roll longer than I have to. so I'm going to do the drum roll, and we're going to bring our wonderful guest in for today. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3.
Hey!
Hey, I want to welcome Mr. Benjamin Morse. How you doing, Ben?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Oh, I forgot the round of applause.
Round of applause. That's been a little bit of a tradition here that Rick has started. Benjamin, I want to tell a little bit the story in terms of how we connected. You know, it was fate. I had a slot that just opened up for today, and this was like a little less than a week ago. And you emailed me. We connected, and the stars and the planets all aligned. And here we are.
Wait. Speaking of fate, he was in the Comics Cast email, right?
Yes. Oh,
yes.
No.
Yeah, where I found him, because we usually don't have to use that for other than work emails.
Right.
So we never really check it, and suddenly I just accidentally checked it, and there you were.
Yeah, great. I think Ben, he's just trying to say that he found you, and
I found you. Well, I found you.
Whoever did, I appreciate it, guys.
Oh, we appreciate it too, and I think our audience is going to appreciate it just as well.
For sure.
We're gonna have like tons of art that Ben has shared with me to show, and it is a visual feast for the eyes. I'm just going to say that. It's so cool. You're going to see lots of styles, and you're going to hear me mispronounce artists that I wasn't when I looked at it, and I was very inspired by when I saw like his. I mean, I think Ben is a great example of an artist who analyzes and studies other artists, looks at their styles, incorporates their influences and makes it his own, and comes up with this stunning new style. And that's what we're going to showcase today. So I'm going to remove that banner, and I want everybody to look at the banner at the bottom. This is how you can find Ben on Instagram and Twitter. We want you to note it. I think, Rick, if you were the professional that you said, you put that in the comments field. Did you do that?
Of course I did.
Oh, you did. So if you look in the comments field, I want everybody to note it. You can copy and paste it. Don't go there now, because we want your eyes on this guy right now. You can check it out afterwards. He has a campaign that's running on Instagram. I mean, not Instagram, on Kickstarter. We're gonna get to that, because there's some kazoo-worthy praise that's gonna come up when we hear what happened yesterday with that Kickstarter goal.
Jerry, you're all over the place today.
I know. I think I drank too much coffee. I'm just
yeah, you must have.
Jittery here. Okay. That being said, let's move to the first part of the show, which is what we call the elevator pitch, and that's where I hand the mic over to our guest. And so, Ben, feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself. You have more than one floor to talk about yourself, but we just want to hear your story, where you've been, where you are, and where you are going, and then we're going to showcase some of your art. So the mic is now in your hands, Ben. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, thanks. So I'm from Cincinnati. I grew up just loving comics. I sort of got into baseball for a little bit more than comics for just a bit until the Batman movie came out in 1989, and then it was. I've just been a comics fan ever since, and always kind of knew I was going to be an artist. I've been a graphic designer since I got out of college. I do video, illustration, design, just about anything. And but the whole time, I've always been trying to get my comic book work out there and get better at it. So I just this last year started in the series that I see some artwork up there for, called August Purgatory Underground, which is going to come out hopefully pretty soon, and at least sometime this year, I think, from Action Lab. We're just sort of working on finding the best time to release it with the pandemic and everything. The comics industry is a little bit in flux, all the distributor news that's happened even just this week. We want to make sure we put it out, when it has the best chance to succeed. So we want to show a little bit of it today, and we see some artwork from it here. Here's our bad guy, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Not quite a spoiler, but keep on going. Keep going.
In the first 4 pages of the comic, you'll not only will you see that he's the bad guy, you'll definitely know what to expect from him as the story continues. So I wouldn't call it a spoiler exactly, but so this series is August Purgatory Underground. It is something I've had in my head since I would say 2012, 2011, when it really started to take shape. It's a space opera is the best term for it, with kind of a superhero look to it. It's influenced by 80s cartoons, Spielberg, Lucas stuff from the 80s, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and follows this guy named August, who is a sort of secret agent in space. He and his partner are kind of a heroic Batman and Robin type duo. As a long war is wrapping up, he accidentally, in the course of fighting this war, blows up Mars.
Oh no!
Turns the tide of the war, so his side was losing and now will win. But as the war winds down, he's in trouble because people are like, wait a second, this was a huge event. Now we're in a position where we're trying to make peace with the other side, and this guy is sort of a problem for everyone. So it's about a year after that, him figuring out what he's going to be able to do with his life. He's not going to be able to stay in the service like he had hoped. And we follow and see what happens to him. And some of these pages here are stuff I've done recently as kind of a, I would say, research development for something I haven't even pitched yet, which is a continuation of August. Years down the line, he gets old, obviously makes it to old age, and the galaxy has seen better times. It's what I would describe it as a Mad Max, Walking Dead type situation, but the entire galaxy. And we come across him as an older guy. This young lady named Captain Weathers is who runs into him, and they have adventures of their own. I saw the comment. Thank you. But yeah, so this art is from that series, which is tentatively titled Terminus Angels. And hopefully, if August Purgatory Underground does well, you will see this and several more stories I have pretty tightly plotted out for his adventures over the course of his life. So that's what I've been working on in the last year. Recently, I've been working on the Kickstarter you've mentioned, which, yep, there he is. That's our hero of the Kickstarter story, which is called We Are Scarlet Twilight. And that guy's name is Captain Lancet, who is a kind of just your classic Golden Age 1940s pulp hero. But he's not exactly that. You'll find out some more things about him as the series gets in there. And,
yes. Yeah,
so,
I got a little bit of the inside knowledge in terms of who Captain Lancet is, but you gotta get the book if you want to find out what that inside secret is. But yeah, keep on going.
Yeah, so this is something I had an idea of for a long time. I wanted to do something that was really pulp inspired. I looked at some covers Adam Hughes has done, which are really retro inspired or show like modern his style Wonder Woman next to a really faithful recreation of 1940s looking Wonder Woman, and that pulp look, that Golden Age look, is so amazing. And I wanted to do something that really, incorporated that stuff. And I had that idea in my head for years. I wanted to do it. Every time Chip Kidd would release a book, his designs, where he obviously loves that stuff and really makes it shine in his books where he features it, made me want to do something with it. And it's only in the last few months that I guess a few of my ideas coalesced into something that I'm like, all right, I don't want it to just be a recreation of a Golden Age comic with a substitute for some of those old heroes, but a few ideas. I thought I could use this from that. That would be a good story, I think, and have enough there to be interesting. So that is the story behind We Are Scarlet Twilight.
Yeah, and I'm just eating up this style. I mean, it's one thing to that you love it, you love the look and you appreciate it, but to execute it, I mean, just look at the architecture here of the atmospheric mood that you're creating. You definitely capture it. I think we talked yesterday during our pre-show about all of your influences, and we mentioned that movie. I think was it with Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow, was the Sky
Captain and The World of Tomorrow.
Yes, I'm gonna say that wasn't too thrilled with the story. I think it was a little lacking, but the visuals, the aesthetic was brilliant. And then I see your artwork and you capture that beautifully. It's also like how the animated Batman the animated series, from the 90s,
huge influence.
Yeah, you get that. I definitely get the Adam Hughes vibe from this. It's just beautiful. And here we have the villain that we can't really go into too much details about who she is or what she's about, but I don't know. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, she's bad. This is a small spoiler.
Oh, she's bad. Okay.
Yes.
Bad. Well, I think you got that.
Yes.
But, you wouldn't want to get in her bad side.
Yes.
So I guess in talking a little bit, I'm not going to give away a lot of spoilers about the book that would, I think, interfere with the fun of reading it. I'm a person who I want my spoilers. I'll spoil anything, and I somehow just like it more. But I think I'm the minority there. So I don't.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I think I read a study, not maybe a couple years ago, that they researched the enjoyment people got out of things in some way that they found to be objective, and they said a lot of people did enjoy things more if they had them spoiled, which I've just remembered as a justification to myself when I find myself saying I really shouldn't be reading this, but I am, and I'm going to spoil a few details of this movie I'm about to see. But anyway, my character here is the villainess of We Are Scarlet Twilight. She's the leader of the Scarlet Twilight cult.
There you go, Scarlet
Twilight. Back to the spoilers issue. The spoilers in the first issue. I have a few surprises, and that's one thing I really wanted to put into the book. I didn't want it to just be kind of a straightforward adventure. I want to make sure that throughout all 4 issues that I hope to do, you're going to have the 30s look, the pulp look, the Golden Age stuff. Mm-hmm. But I do want to, while staying in that environment, in the Fleischer Brothers Superman cartoon look, the Batman the Animated Series look, the sort of Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon stuff, that we are giving you a little bit more in the story. And so she is, she starts off, you don't know too much about her. She's a character you see, and then we discover, obviously, that she's not the good guy.
Exactly. And you know what I love about your art, because we were talking about this particular series, and not to give spoilers away, but you can see that this isn't red wine. There's a little bit there, and let me zoom in here a little bit. I just want people to kind of have an idea of what.
I think the idea is pretty obvious.
Yeah. I hope it is.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I don't want to. This is meant to intrigue people. This is to make people to kind of understand what's going on. I mean, hint at what's going to be.
We all know. We all know it's red soda.
Yeah.
It's just ketchup, everybody.
Ketchup. Or it's Fanta. It's Fanta. It's the party in your mouth. Yes, exactly.
So before I forget, Brian Menard from Dr. Coon Comics asks a bit ago whether or not this was Kickstarter only.
Yeah, it is right now. I mean, my plan is the support I've gotten so far, and I know we'll get to more of that later about the campaign, but has just been overwhelming. It is so far beyond what I've expected, and the support I've gotten just from people on Twitter retweeting or saying, "Hey, this looks great," or reaching out. I mean, even that has been, wow, it's floored me. I don't know what to say about it. So what my plan is if we, I plan on doing all 4 issues and collecting it somehow, and probably just doing kind of a backer survey and say, hey, do you guys want a collected version of this? Would you feel like that makes the individual issues less enjoyable to, I backed this and then they just came with the trade. And I don't want to do that. So it's going to be something I look into. And I didn't really expect to be as far along in the campaign as we are now.
Yeah.
So it was, I had some plans that did not really, that have kind of gone out the window as far as stretch goals and promotion and things like that. So I'm thinking on my feet there just a bit in a good way. Well, but that's sort of my plan is I'd love to collect it, I think, when it's done. And I want to make sure everybody is into it, essentially. So that's a tentative yes, and we'll see.
Yeah, I think that another thing, I think here we go. Dojo Coon Comics, Brian beat me to it, is that a lot of popular things that are being done by creators on Kickstarter, sometimes they'll do follow-up campaigns on Indiegogo, and it basically allows you to still capitalize on the success. If you have a successful Kickstarter, to be able to bring additional stretch goals, or to if there's already some momentum going there, you can still generate additional insight or followers. Because some people are partial to certain crowdfunding platforms, and it's always good that if you it's sort of like casting a bigger net. If you have people there, and I think it would be just a natural thing for you to do. If you were to follow up, you could just transfer a lot of the information, and just when we get to the Kickstarter, it's phenomenal, and we have some really good news to share about where that is right now. And I think it'd be really cool that maybe you might want to consider putting it on Indiegogo as well. But let's continue going down the art, because this is going to be a little bit of another hint to who the Scarlet Twilight is. Again, this is following up on that wonderful artwork, and here we go. We have a little bit of information of who the villainess is. Satanica.
That is her name. Yeah. That's
you?
Yeah.
And then I want to zoom in, and here we get to see more of the wonderful just architecture and cityscapes that Ben is able to create here. But what I like about this, it has this retro futuristic vibe to it. I mean, if you did watch Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, it's that Buck Rogers things. It's like the future, but not quite the future. But now you also have a little bit of an angle, because the villainess, I'm going to zoom in here. You hear the villainess, and her name is Satanica. But notice these little extended canines. I'm just gonna say that right now. So, and then you hear this.
Stop spoiling, Carol.
Well, I'll say this. I got so carried away. I get talking when I was mentioning spoilers earlier. There's a lot of twists in the story, especially in the first issue, that are that's at least I hope people read and say, that's cool. But it's been done before, and I hope that even everything's been done before to some extent. There are a few twists that are like, oh, cool, I didn't expect that. That's kind of like this old movie, or this this thing I've seen in the 80s. There are a few of those, and then there's one that I hope you don't see coming closer to the end, or don't expect it to happen in the way that it will. So
Yeah.
There are a few surprises, and I would say I almost classify them as different levels of spoilerdom. I don't know the word for that, but so that's I have a few twists that are like, okay, cool. I've seen this before, but this would be a cool way to do it. And there are a few that I hope are genuinely kind of jump scares or surprising. So
they are.
That is the intention.
I think I encourage everybody to support this book because like I said, I got a little bit of inside knowledge on this, and there's just a wonderful twist. And I was talking to Ben about this, and I was like, how can we talk about this on the show? Because I really want to delve into it, but you can't. I just want everybody to the art alone is just a huge sell.
Listen to him, Chad. Listen to him brag.
I saw a few comments about Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which is a huge influence. That movie, when I saw clips of it, I think to show how old I am, in Sci-Fi Buzz, which was a show on the Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s, they'd show clips of some of these old movies, and I would just be like, what is this? This is amazing. So Fritz Lang's Metropolis is a big influence, and that's almost when he this is all in the Kickstarter description. He starts out in the 1930s. He ends up in the a few centuries or maybe 100 years in the future. We don't really know, and it's not necessarily that important to the story how far in the future they are. But it's very much Fritz Lang's Metropolis future. It's very Buck Rogers future. It's not necessarily your Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell future or something like that, Altered Carbon or anything like that. So it's we do go there, but we definitely stay in the vocabulary visually of the 1930s, the Art Deco, and all that stuff that I really love.
Yeah. I really like the buildings and all that. It reminded me most of all of the Batman animated.
Yeah, that's a huge, that and the Fleischer Brothers cartoons. And just to touch on, I guess, one instance I always think of when I was happy not to have been spoiled. When I was younger, we didn't have the internet, and even we had Wizard Magazine and Hero Illustrated, which I read both of. So everyone can figure out just how old I am, which is fairly old.
Well, you're making me feel old now because all you just said there is something I remember from my childhood. So thank you, Ben.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, it's all good. It keeps us young at heart.
But yeah, when I think this again was the Sci-Fi Channel, when they would show movies, they would show short cartoons sometimes if the movie was an hour, 45 minutes, and they had 2 hours, they'd just show a cartoon. And one time it was what turned out to be the Fleischer Brothers cartoons. And, because the internet wasn't as widespread, it would take forever to download a picture on America Online, you would see something. I didn't know about those cartoons. So it started off, I think it might have just been the one with the robots that is I think the most famous one. And I just watching this, I'm like, wow, this looks so much like the Batman series, but it's clearly old. And I thought this would be so cool if this was a Superman cartoon, or if they did a Superman cartoon like this. And I think I looked at it and thought Mighty Mouse was going to turn up, which of course is I think a copy of the Fleischer Brothers Superman cartoons in some respect. And then Superman did turn up. It was the coolest moment ever. I was like, oh, my mind is blown. I don't know why his symbol is black, but this is so cool. And I loved it. And those cartoons have always been a gigantic influence on me. The backgrounds, the atmosphere, the way they really capture Joe Shuster's version of Superman is obviously a huge influence on me. And if you look at We Are Scarlet Twilight, you definitely can see, the colors, the lighting, all that is something I really was a huge priority for me to build into this comic. And one of the reasons I wanted to do it.
I tell you, if mission accomplished, I mean, I could just look at, this doesn't even have the hero or any characters in it, but it makes the city a character in itself. I mean, you really did a great job of just nailing that architecture and just making the environment a character, just making it a integral part of your storytelling, and just beautiful work.
Well, thanks. And this is the end of the first issue. And again, this is all in the description in the campaign, so I don't think this is I want to be honest with readers too. I don't want to bait and switch people. Although I think if you come for the Golden Age stuff, that's what you're going to get all 4 issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to sort of be upfront. I don't want people to get to the end of the first issue and be like, oh, I I like the part here. There are movies I can remember, and I can't think of one offhand, but they'll start off one way, or let's say Star Trek 4, where they start off and they end with Star Trek time, and they go back to the 80s. And I kind of just like the beginning and the end. And I wanted to make sure people knew it wasn't going to be like that. It was going to be this atmosphere all the time, but we are going to the future. So this is Captain Lancet is, I'll say, in a coma he's put in a coma by someone. In the first issue, he wakes up and he's, the classic sort of Rip Van Winkle, oh my goodness, what has happened?
Right.
He's in the future. So we have the Empire State Building there to show things have gotten a lot bigger around it. We have some flying cars in the distance. You can see sort of a car like that Star Wars Coruscant to it.
The trail.
And to kind of, the holograms to give you that Big Brother, Blade Runner type vibe. So you kind of know, wow, we are in the future. Different people are in charge. Buildings have gotten much bigger. Manhattan is even more overcrowded, I suppose, now. But and so that's this page is that, telling that story, like, okay, wow, we're now here. This is where we're going to be for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and as a further, like, not spoiling, but just hint, I want everybody to know this is like that future, but it's all purposeful. It's like even though Ben and I know Rick is too, we're all fans of that whole Art Deco look, but it's not the reason why the Art Deco look is there with those modern, like, hologram, like, the Blade Runner style things. There's a reason why this architecture looks the way that it does, and it's tied to.
They'll find out, Gerald. Stop.
No, you're doing fine. This is exactly. I think that the twists in it, like I said, some of them are, to me, not, and I don't want to spoil things that other people might like not to be spoiled, but I also think, like, they're like, okay, that's cool. This is a cool environment to do that in, and it's been in other things. So it'll be like that, but then there are some, the other twists are more, I hope, like jump scares or things that, like, oh wow, I didn't expect that to happen, or certainly not to happen in that way. Yes. But yes, there is a reason for the mixture of objects you see there. So
yeah, stop it, Gerald.
I'm not
being very careful.
Yes,
and,
I just
no, Ben, don't worry about. We're not. It's not about you. It's about Gerald.
What?
Oh, I trust Gerald. I'm the one who will.
Yeah.
Wait.
Listen to that, Rick. He trusts me. He doesn't trust you.
Wait. Give it time.
All I want to say is that these are all. Ben has provided me all this artwork. We talked very, very carefully yesterday about how brilliant it is. Not a bait and switch. He's, in fact, when you get this issue, because I know all of our audience is going to get this issue, it's not like one of those things where, it's false advertising type things. I thought it was going to be this. I think if any of you guys watched Joss Whedon's Cabin in the Woods, you guys watched that? That was kind of a movie that was billed as something else, and by the end of the movie, you're like, what was this whole thing about? When you see this, there's lots of visual hints in here, and it just makes the story even sweeter. And you're going to be in for a ride. And just from what Ben shared with me, it's so good. I just can't tell you that how much I enjoyed hearing it. Yeah, it's going to be yeah.
And the things we're talking about spoiling, I think if you were to look at the preview that's on the page, the campaign page, you could probably guess. I think
our boss just backed it, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
And when next I get paid, I'm gonna back it as well for sure. I love what I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, they're and what the beauty about this, you can get. It's always great to get the print version, but there's a PDF of this, so you don't have to worry about the shipping. If you live in different countries, get the PDF, because honestly, it's like, I always like having a tangible item that you can, the tactile sensation of being able to flip through pages and things like that. But looking at your art here digitally, I mean, it's so rich, and it's loaded with all sorts of little Easter eggs that hint towards a larger narrative. So I want people just to back it. So we are going to talk a little bit more about this as we get into our live drawings, but I think this is an appropriate time for us to move right along into our first.
I'm just putting this comment up here again.
When is the draw along? All right, we got Dojo Kun Comics and Brian telling me that I'm going to wreck it. But I think, when did I become the spoiler? I'm not a spoiler kind of guy. When did I spoil it?
Like I said, I'm worried I'll say more than I ought to. I've lived with the whole thing for a while, and when this happens.
Even Joe agrees and says we better hurry it up if you don't want Gerald to wreck everything. So let's go over this and start the drawing part.
Okay. Let me preface it a little bit. I want to say, all right, so we are going to talk more about We Are Scarlet Twilight because there's no, I said we are going to talk about it later, but we want to go. There's so much more to it. But let's talk a little bit more about our first drawing challenge before we get into actually it, because I want to. I think Ben gave a little bit of an overview, but I just want to show the artwork, and then when we start doing the live drawing, Ben will definitely go more into finer details. But let me just show this real quick. So this is August Purgatory Underground, and this is the lead character you see here, who's August. This is a edited version that just shows a few things from the page. So really what I'm going to flash through this really quick. And I want, Ben, if you could just sort of talk a little bit more about this, just before, to get people a little bit, ready to go so we can go into the live drawing. But this is going to be available later this year. So you can support the We Are Scarlet Twilight first, but you can look forward to this as well. So let me flip through this. You talk a little bit more about it, and then of course we'll go into finer details about the character when we do the live drawing.
Okay, great. And this is a great place to start, this page here. So my, I don't remember exactly when it was always something that was going to be heavily influenced by 80s cartoons, Transformers, He-Man, stuff I grew up with that I still think holds up for the most part, some episodes of it at least, pretty well. And Star Wars, obvious, which if I don't mention how big a Star Wars influence August carries, it's almost because I think it's so obvious as to not be worth mentioning. But this is the prologue, more or less, to August Purgatory Underground. And the idea here was, I want you to think about this almost like it could have been something in the 80s.
Yes.
And in the trailer I made for it, that's up on YouTube somewhere, I animate this out, and they have some voices in there. It was when I was moving houses, so I did a couple of the voices myself. My wife did a voice, and I got a voice actor to do a couple of the other characters. But the idea was there. I love doing some basic animation. I'm not a great animator, but I wanted to do these pieces just to really give you some distance. This guy starts off, he and his partner, the guy with the long hair that you see there, are like Batman and Robin, or Butch and Sundance, and they're the heroes of the Federation, sort of. They are, well thought of, the heroic guys. And at this point, you see them here. There's a long civil war going on that the rebels, their enemies, the bad guys, are winning. And this is sort of the pivotal battle. What you see here is a super weapon that the rebels have created. It's kind of an experiment, but it's about to wipe out the Federation fleet, and it's going to, end the war, more or less. They're going to lose, and the bad guys are going to win. What August does here is realizes he cannot turn off the weapon. They've locked it, but he can turn it around so it shoots at the bad guys instead of the good guys and destroys the base, and they get out of there. And what happens is we end there, and we realize it destroyed not only the base, but the planet it was on, Mars. So we have a 1 year later break there, the black page. And sorry, didn't mean you had to go back to it.
Sorry, I missed it. My bad.
No. I wasn't trying to be a backseat driver there. We do that, and we go to the next page. We see that, it's a more modern art style. It's Christmas, but you do get the sense, it's wreckage. There's refugees. August is not looking happy. He looks a little grim, and we see that this is almost like a hangover. Things have gotten bad, is the idea. So while he was initially a hero for having saved the Federation fleet, as the war is kind of winding down and ending, everyone else is happy, but it's becoming clear to him he's not going to be able to stay in the service. He's going to be a pretty controversial figure. A lot of people have, feelings about what he's done, and he's kind of become a pariah. So this series is really him figuring out, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I don't think I can stay where I am. I don't know where I can go. Everyone probably doesn't necessarily say, I wouldn't have done what you did, but they don't want to deal with him. He's just kind of like persona non grata.
Yeah, he went from hero to zero, and
Yes, in no time flat.
Yeah, and I just love.
Kiara knows how that feels.
Yeah. I'm the hero, and
He went from 0 to even more 0.
I'm going to say that Rick is the 0 and I'm the hero, right? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. Well, but it's I can see so many homages and influences in your artwork to like just you talked about your love for comics and toys from the the 80s where I grew up in the same time period as you, Ben, and I love how you did this part right here, where this shows the diversity of, the flexibility, the versatility of your skill here, because this is the past, this is the prologue, and you made it look like it has kind of like that Archer cell shaded look to it, and it's.
I was gonna say heavy metal and He-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, those were big. I really looked at, and I even played up. You see, when you get those cells, they used to sell them. You can still get them, but you see like the shadow sometimes that the cell for the background creates. And I really even bumped that up beyond what it would have been. But I wanted to be like, this is the past. This was kind of a more innocent time. In the way we look at sort of those He-Man adventures,
yes,
or Transformers,
yes.
But those stories have really big scale. There's nobody ever gets hurt in the cartoons, but if it were someone, if it were Star Wars, say, the Death Star blows up. In fact, one of the things that gave me the idea, besides another thing we talked about, Jarrell, that I'm sure we'll get to, was I think I had seen like a meme or something years and years ago of a Lego Star Trooper next to a sort of 6-inch figure of Luke Skywalker, and the little Stormtrooper says, my dad was on the Death Star. And like, so just showing, I thought, well, that's actually kind of interesting, and I'm sure that joke's been made. I'm sure people have done, people have done stories like this before, but it's to show, not necessarily there's good and evil. I'm not going to say like there are two sides to every story and be as tried as that, but I think a person, attitudes change, people's priorities change, and people can also find themselves on the wrong side of that. So it's sort of a way to address the scale. The Death Star blows up and we're all happy, but it's interesting to maybe explore, well, what if it hadn't gone quite that way and it was in this different situation? I think that's something that Game of Thrones is a series I didn't get too into the books. I enjoyed the show, I think, like everyone. But I'd read an interview with George R.R. Martin where one of the genesis sort of points of his story was reading Lord of the Rings, and at the end it says Aragorn was a good king and he ruled justly and everybody loved it. And he said, well, wait a second, how does he rule justly? Does he go out and slaughter all the orcs, or does he let them come in and destroy all the nice people? Harder decisions need to be made. And that was one of the things that got him thinking, like, well, I'm going to delve in there and get into some of the dilemmas that sort of leaves hanging. And that's what I was trying to do here, is to take an 80s cartoon type of situation and say, well, let's take it here. And I think even though the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren gets a lot of jeers, the intro to that, before they go to Earth, which is not necessarily, I think, what I wanted to see as a kid from a He-Man movie, but Eternia is being invaded. Everything's gone wrong. They're like, we don't know where He-Man is. Skeletor might have got him. We might be sunk. It was just such a cool intro to take these characters in these stories and look at them from a different angle. And again, that's what I was trying to do here. So that was the thinking behind, or maybe I just really wanted to draw cel-shaded looking Prologue, and I sort of talked myself into it by all the stuff I just said. But
well, you know what?
It works.
It does work. It's completely appropriate. It has on just a storytelling point of view, as well as a throwback to all the influences that you were talking about. But I also I can see the character. He reminds me. He has that classic New Hope Luke Skywalker look to him.
Oh, and he's got Luke's haircut. I mean, that's that's my nod to Luke.
and the whole thing about the Death Star thing. I think they addressed that kind of like in The Mandalorian. They explored about the other side, the Imperial point of view, and there were conscripts that were on the Death Star. They weren't necessarily all villains, and I like how you're kind of saying this is addressing if Luke, if August was Luke and he was able to obliterate the Death Star, but all of a sudden instead of becoming the New Republic hero, he becomes the pariah, like you said. And I like how you're kind of exploring that, that whole other angle about like, he looks like a hero for the instant, but the social media, I guess, of the future can just turn on him on a whim.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. I think if you had a situation, I mean, I'm not like, I don't get this. You can see the story. It's not like I'm getting heavy into the meaning and the modern stuff, but
I know
it's just an interesting starting point for me. I'm not a writer by training or anything like that. So it took me a while to put enough things in here that I thought had value and would be interesting and just keep you turning the page. It took me a long time to piece that together. So I was really always looking for things like that. Yeah. And if you think about, if there was a situation like that, or if you look at the Civil War, it ended, and then suddenly we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? And I think in this case, you'd have, had they needed to make, deals, okay, we need to get food to these people down here. We need to resettle people. We need to do this. There would be people who say their relatives had been in a Death Star type situation. There'd be people who couldn't let it go. If, even in the 90s X-Men series, Rogue would make jokes about General Sherman. So, the feelings carry over, especially when it gets personalized. Right. And I think that the idea was just to say, all right, now this guy has no options. This guy everybody doesn't necessarily out and out condemn him. The other, some people do, but the higher ups in the service are like, look, we probably just can't keep you around. So he takes on this mission to look into something sort of out of desperation. He knows, I'm going there by myself. It's not a great idea, but I've got to buy myself some time and figure out what to do. Maybe if there are some sort of rebels on the run that haven't surrendered, there'll be enough of a reason. They kept him around for the end of the war because they needed him. He was a good fighter. Maybe there'll be enough fighting to be done that I can keep doing what I'm doing quietly. So that's his hope at the beginning of the series. When he runs into and realizes that there is kind of a lost rebel fleet, he's not too upset about it, actually. He's grim, he's in danger, but he's like, well, okay, great. I don't have to think about doing a new thing. I'm sure I can stay in my groove, I hope. And that's where he starts off. This character here is the sheriff of this. He lands on a planet called San Vertado, which is where the rebels have been hiding out. And this is the sheriff that's sort of leading a resistance, kind of like a French underground type thing, after the rebels took over there quietly. So he and August run into each other, and they fight together to escape the planet, get the word out that the rebel fleet is still around, and there are some problems to be dealt with.
Yeah, and so I just I'm gonna just finish up these last few pages to get people, just to get them intrigued, because this comic is almost done. Like I said, it'll be coming out a little bit. They're working.
It's done. It's been done for a while. Yeah, it's been done for a long time, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just a matter of finding the right time for it to be released this year. I think there's some logistical things that you're working out with the.
Yeah, we're just talking. Oh, sorry about that, guys. It's some loud birds.
It's okay. It's okay.
Maybe had something to add to the conversation.
They did.
But I'm working with Action Lab, who's been fantastic. Of course, the pandemic has really thrown so many things into flux. And, I kind of said, we don't need to rush this out there if we want to hold on for a while and release it.
Wait. Sorry, but go back there, Gerald.
Go back here? I'll go back more.
That's Lando Calrissian.
What's Lando Calrissian? Oh, here.
Not exactly, but I guess I can.
No. Just when he just ran through it, it was like, oh wait, that's Lando. But I see it now. Of course, it's not. But it just looked really a lot like him.
Yeah,
it does in that picture. Actually, I never thought of that. He certainly has same color scheme and mustache.
Well, those were like subconscious maybe influences from your inner Star Wars nerd that were just materializing in your artwork.
My inner Star Wars nerd is pretty out there. I don't think I suppress much of that, which I think
there's no inner. It's all out.
It's all out. It's all in the out. And right before we get into our live drawing, I there was a comment from Dojo-kun Comics, and
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, so I beat you to it, because when I was talking to Ben yesterday, I got the same vibe. We got this flashback look, which definitely has that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Archer, cell shaded look, and then we get to this. Dojo-kun mentioned, yes, and this is something that I got when I first saw this page. Neil Adams. It has a definite Neil Adams vibe to it, and I'm going to mispronounce it. Stuart Eminem? Not Eminem.
Not Eminem, not the rapper. Eminem.
I was talking with Ben yesterday, and we both have a mutual admiration for Stewart's artwork.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Stewart is probably, to me, in the modern, like this day, like as the modern roster of really talented artists, he is probably the best, or if not one of the best, sequential storytellers. I mean, there are phenomenal artists across the board, but Stewart can really tell a story really well with sequentials. And
his artwork itself is so solid and beautiful. I mean, I don't know if anybody does it better or ever has.
Well, I think you're coming close to it. I think you're doing it.
I don't know about that.
I look at this and it has a Neil Adams vibe to it. It has a Stewart vibe to it. I like how you.
Stewart who?
I'm just gonna say Stewart because I don't want to screw up his last name. Stewart I. Yeah. So I love how you from an art standpoint, how you're framing things. Like where you could have put details into this whole thing. It's not necessary, but this black area definitely frames the shot. I like how you did this too, where you silhouetted this out because this obviously could have been a really maybe complex scene that would this isn't the important thing because you're focusing on the conversation, but you definitely want to show that he's observing it. And by you silhouetting this out, brilliant. And then. This is the thing that I want to talk also about Brian. Brian was so humble. He didn't mention this in his elevator pitch, but I'm going to mention it now. He is I'm going to call it a bentuple threat. The guy he's doing writing, he's doing penciling, he's inking, he's coloring. You see here, he's also even doing lettering. I like how he really makes it, it's a festive time period. Obviously, we have it so that the hero is a little depressed, but he finds ways to accentuate his art, to another level with this lettering. So you get that it's a very festive nature, and he makes it so that you can imagine it, like people are singing in the background, and just phenomenal. It's just really well done page.
Well, I have to give credit where it's due, and I think it ties into the Neil Adams mentions. Is there was a story. I knew I wanted to do the Christmas thing. It had a lot of the 80s DNA to it, like Lethal Weapon is at Christmas.
Yes.
And I think he's used to great effect in a lot of Shane Black's movies because he wants, I've read interviews where he said, well, everyone else is happy. I want to show a guy that's sad. It's just, there's more distance there and more contrast. And that's, even beyond the homage, it's a very effective tool. So I wanted to use it for a lot of reasons. And there's a Batman story from, I think, the 70s or 80s where Batman, I think the police are hanging out with Batman and they say, hey, why don't you hang out with us for a while? It's Christmas Eve. And he says, no, I've got to go fight crime. Things are going to be happening. And he's like, well, I'll sing one song. And then they end up singing all night. And Gotham is taking care of itself. And that's the Christmas miracle. But the lettering was something, I didn't use the type of lettering they did exactly. They a little more flow to it. The layouts were a little different. But I remembered that story. And that's actually what I looked at. When I was like, how do I do that? So when I looked at that, I knew that the singing was not, they chose little vignettes of Gotham's new life. And it was clear the singing was not by those characters. It was sort of an overlay, sort of montage type thing. So that's something I looked at to be like, how do I get that? I know that it's not like August where the guy he's talking to are singing those songs. I just wanted it to be clear what was happening. And I think that when you look at that and think Neil Adams, I bet that might be bouncing around in your subconscious because that's where it came from, the lettering for sure. And I think the artwork too, obviously Neil Adams is an influence on, I think, just about everybody at this point. He's did really groundbreaking stuff and continues to.
Yeah, that's phenomenal stuff. And I think this is a great transition into actually our first live drawing where we are going to draw the hero from it's arguably if he's the hero or the zero, I don't know, but that's why you got to buy the book when it comes out.
He's a hero.
Yeah, so sure. Right, you're definitely a hero, but I just like how you're showing how public perception within this comic universe can just turn on a dime. So I want everybody to do a screen capture of this. This is the hero, August, and we're going to go into our first live drawing. So I'm going to prep my art camera. Ben, if you want to go ahead and get your
I will.
ready to go. And
let me get this.
Yeah, and I just want to let everybody know this is another fun fact for Ben, and it's going to make it even more impressive in terms of Ben's just talent. Is that you're going to be surprised. He's going to be doing digital, okay? So that's going to be really good. It's digital, but he's doing digital with a mouse. He's not using a tablet. He's not using a pen. All of this freaking digital artwork that he's doing was done with a mouse. That is so incredible.
No.
No lie.
Well,
I don't.
and you're going to see it happen. So
I don't believe that for a second.
It is. That is just another feat of amazement. When I try to draw with a mouse, and I can, if I zoom in and I have to draw every point, it looks good. And this is another thing about what Ben is doing. Ben is using a antiquated PC software, I think, called Expressions. I don't think it's even made anymore. And it
has not been made for years. What it was is the place I worked when I graduated college was a place called Phoenix Advertising Art, and another artist there named Jeff Santala was who found the software, and we bought it for Mac and used it. And I still use it. So I don't normally draw on this laptop a lot. This is just the best for streaming, so it might be a little slower or unwieldy. Mm-hmm. But I color on this sometimes. It's just the drawing. I'm so used to doing it on my Mac, which is next to me here, that doing it on anything else feels like you're batting opposite hand or something like that. So I hope everyone will bear with me a little bit. But so I do everything in vector. Nice thing about Expressions is that
I love working in vector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. Illustrator I use for almost everything I do. But the nice thing about Expressions is that it was that, but really geared to be a drawing tool. So this is a demo version. I don't think they actually released it on PC. We just bought the Mac version, but I had this demo I could use, so I could at least show everyone how I do it. The nice thing about the software, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is it uses these B-splines, or splines, as my wife corrects me. I think I say it wrong. But you get these perfectly smooth curves.
Yeah. And that's we're all going to be able to witness that, and I think that's the cool thing. He draws with a mouse, he draws with antiquated software, and then he's using vectors, and then you see this incredible artwork that I just showed. So you're going to see this happen. This is going to be a treat for everybody to see the vector. You're going to see the artwork come out, and it's so cool that it's vector based. So I'm getting my camera ready to go, and this is where I get the shot.
Are you guys seeing my screen here?
Yes, because
great.
And we're going to draw.
I will talk a little bit about what I'm doing. Or I'll wait for you, Jarrell. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. Yeah, just talk a little bit more. We're going to go into deeper dives in terms of August look. You can just talk about it. I'm going to shut up. Rick loves it when I shut up because that means he can talk.
Yes, that's my favorite time of the show is when Garrett's not talking.
So that's where I'm going to get my art cam and I'm going to draw along. But Rick will take over.
Benjamin have already started. Jared, stop talking and get going.
Okay, all right. Okay. He's also the timekeeper. All right, so go ahead.
So 15 minutes, 20?
Let's go with 15 and give us the 5 minutes.
Benjamin, 15 or 20 minutes?
Oh, it's up to you guys. What works best?
No.
See, Ben is my friend. Ben is my friend.
Okay. You know what? You get 5 minutes. I don't want. I'm not arguing this. No. 15 minutes.
Okay.
So you do everything with. What kind of crazy person are you? That's just
that, Rick. The source of this. So I graduated college in the early 2000s and worked in an illustration studio. And the great thing about it was that I got to learn from all these guys that had been in the business for I'd say decades, and learned a lot. One thing we did a lot of, as the junior person on there, I was the newest hire and had just been getting started. And you really, getting out of college, you learn a lot in college, but you really start to learn things when you're doing it for real. And a thing I found was I did a lot of technical artwork. So if you bought sometimes a propane heater or something like that, I do the artwork that goes in the back that says you plug this in here, you do that, whatever. And you had to be really good at getting the lines right. I would try to do it by hand, and I just couldn't. I've never had very steady hands. My mom, when I'd put together my portfolios and have to map things up to get into art school, she'd always have to do it for me. I could never cut the mats right. They always looked wrong. So I never had the steadiest hands in the world, but I could draw and paint really well. And when I got to do this line art, I'd have so much trouble just getting the smooth line. I'd watch my boss, who was in his 60s at that point, and I'd say, Jerry, how do you do that? And he said, well, I practiced about 10 minutes a day, and then maybe 5 years ago, it sort of started to click a little bit. And I thought, I don't think I can really be employable for 40 years. It's out. I'm going to have to figure out a way to do it faster. And I work with Illustrator a lot. That was fine. You have the spleen tools in Illustrator, which work more like, I'll do a quick example here.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you ever tried Illustrator, because it reminded me a bit.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It reminded me a bit of what you were doing here.
Yeah, it does. The big difference is Illustrator, you draw it out like this, and then, or you draw it and you drag your control points as you draw to get the curves. And sometimes you get curves that aren't just quite perfect. It's always nice to have them perfect when you want them and go back and fix it if you don't. At least that's, I find it to be easier. So, instead of getting that shape, I have this shape, and it's perfect. And I can, just make things a little cleaner. And of course, when I'm drawing a technical thing for how you install your propane heater or use your tape dispenser, that's a huge time saver, and it lets me do it. So that's really, I began to use that more and more. I worked in Illustrator a while. It wasn't the easiest thing, but it was better. And then when my colleague Jeff introduced me to expressions, that was like, yes, this is it. This is what I needed. And so the years have gone by, and I just used it and got more comfortable with it, and that's sort of how I approach things.
Well, if it works, it works. I see people use MS Paint and do remarkable things there. So
we mentioned George R.R. Martin. I think I've read that he writes his stories on like an old MS-DOS machine, something, really antiquated. That's not right. And the other thing you can see here is I make mistakes. I can just drag them or just redo them, and that's a nice thing to have too.
Yeah, I can see this work a lot. Work for you for sure. I'm just with a mouse and everything, but the way it's set up there, I can see why it's so easy to do with a mouse, because it helps a lot. Those extra line work details you can do really helps.
Yeah, and it's just probably had I started over now, I'd use Clip Studio Paint and do that. I think if I had to get used to using a stylus, I would probably be all right. But it's just you kind of keep working in something, and that's always what's fastest and easiest, and you can do the best work in. So that's just kind of how I've developed. Eventually, I'm sure this software won't work on the next computer I get.
Yeah, I was about to say, when there's when a new major update comes, you might lose this. So
I am worried, but
I would also consider Clip Studio Paint if you like to work in vectors. That's probably the best program I've tried when it comes to vector layers. And
I've looked into that a little bit. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I think that's probably the next thing I use. Or I think Illustrator, some people have developed some plugins that give you these nice curves. So I've been meaning to check into those as well.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's all the subscriptions and all that after all.
Yeah. Oh, well, I subscribe to that anyway for work. So just pay for the plugins. But, I'd be willing to do that if it worked out well. Illustrator, besides from this, as far as drawing, is the thing I'm like second most comfortable in. When I need to design something, when I do my lettering or my cover logos, Illustrator is what I do them in. And that's kind of how I approach things. I'm always a lot more comfortable in Illustrator.
For sure.
So that's probably, I imagine that's where I'll go next. A nice thing about this is I can scale the parts of the drawing without scaling the stroke width if I'm careful about it. I noticed my head was looking a little small next to him. He looked like a basketball player, a little too tall and thin. So I get rid of that and put it back, and then that's a little bit more what I wanted. Get his neck looking right here.
This looks really interesting. So you're a big 80s fan, that's for sure. There's no telling around that. Okay, sorry, but I got a little heat here from Brian Menard.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm going to use to draw Naya in 222, Brian. It's a long-standing thing. I promised him a drawing of one of his Kickstarters, and I've started it, but then never gotten through it, and of course I have to hear from it. It's fine. It's all fun. So as a big 80s fan, And also a big Masters of the Universe fan, I'm guessing. Did you ever see?
Absolutely.
Did you ever see the '90s version
of He-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, where he was. So I think there are two in my head here. There's one where it was sort of the classic He-Man costume, but with a lot of shadows, kind of some Frank Miller-y influence.
And he had
one where he was in space. And
he was in space and had a normal haircut.
Yeah, he had, he almost looked like a cross between Cable and Gog or Magog.
Yeah.
Come more of a golden space influenced outfit or something like that. Yeah, I think I've watched a few episodes of it. I believe I've watched the pilot for that Outer Space He-Man on YouTube just to see what it was like. I don't think I finished it, but it was interesting. I'll say that much for it.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first saw it, I was like, it's not the same. And then I shut it down and went back to my old school haircut He-Man instead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's been just so become what we're used to that you wouldn't want anything else.
And your character reminds me of a mix of Luke Skywalker and He-Man, I have to say, or at least Prince Adam and He-Man and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, and I definitely want you thinking of those things when you read the story. It's a guy like that, a guy that was a hero like that, and I think still is, but just has really been forced into a different situation. I think, He-Man would want to keep being He-Man. What if he suddenly said, look, we got no room for you, this hernia, we gotta let you go. I mean, and I think that also ties into anxieties we all feel about our jobs, our professions. And we're always worried, can I keep doing this? I like doing this. And I wanted to kind of take that adult consideration and you look at it with, through this nostalgic lens. Again, just for contrast and to give it some distance and things like that.
I really like it, and I think that's one of the big selling points of the comics. All the nostalgia feelings you got, both in the one you got going now and this one. I'm getting both. That's for sure.
Well, I hope that's the goal for sure. Is I kind of want that. I want to use that wisely. I don't want to just throw it in there. Although honestly, if somebody came out with a comic that was a mix of such all my nostalgic influence, I would definitely want to buy it. But I wanted it to have a reason. I wanted it to not necessarily that I make a commentary about these things or I say this part of this is wrong or right or wasn't this bad, but it's just to look at it differently, look at it from a different angle, because I think you can keep all the stuff that you like there, the space opera, the colors of He-Man, the excitement of it, and Star Wars and things like that, but also you're not just retreading it. It's hopefully bringing a new angle to it and makes it fun to read. That's, again, not being a writer by trade. I guess the thing I always go to is, does this have value to a reader? Would this be, if this wasn't like my exact favorite thing in the world, would I want to still read this? And that's what I try to do. I hope that if you knew who He-Man was, but it wasn't your favorite thing, you'd still be like, there is enough of what I want to see happen to this guy, or enough of things I worry about, or just plot twists, or things of that nature, that there's enough to read, and that's my goal there.
I was personally cheering for Skeletor all the time, but that's just me.
Well, Skeletor, he's such a sad figure in a lot of ways that you.
Yeah, but he's just misunderstood, and He-Man is just really a bully.
Yeah, my nephew is
a bully.
No, of course
not.
No. He just discovered He-Man, and he's asking me about Skeletor, and he's like, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't like that. He likes the Joker, but he doesn't like to think of the Joker being bad. So I said, well, Skeletor, he's a bad guy, but he's not very good at it. Half the time, He-Man has to get him out of whatever jam he's caused. So he's not that bad. Is what I think I settled on saying to him. And
you're absolutely right, Brian. I do identify with Skeletor. I also make trouble for everybody. I need help getting out of it. So a slight reminder to everybody that's watching: remember that, as always, you should be drawing along, having fun with us, drawing along and drawing this incredible, awesome character here. And put it up on the Art Show Facebook page, and we will show it later in this show for Benjamin to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone draw this character aside from myself, so I can't wait. I'm going a little slower here because I'm sorry I'm going a little slow. I'm explaining all this stuff, but that's I've never actually had to explain all this as I do it. I've been doing it so long that it's a little. I hope I'm not going too slow, and this is still interesting to watch.
No, it's fine. We're not here to like see that a finished piece, because we know that would never happen in 20 minutes. That's actually up right now. That are actually already done. But we.
Oh man, I didn't realize it went that fast.
It did. But
I'll take your word.
But as I said, we're not here to like finish work. We're just here to see like your style and your approach to the start and have fun with that.
Well, that is what I hope we've done.
So Rick, you want to let's get 5 more minutes just to finish, get a little bit more finishes on it. Is that okay?
Ben, do you want 5 more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, fine. Guys, ladies and gentlemen at home, you have 5 more minutes as well. 5 more minutes, Sarah.
If that disrupts anyone's schedules, I am sorry.
Oh, don't apologize. Don't apologize.
No, Gerald is happy to have that 5 more minutes because he won't stop until everything is perfect in his head, and I almost have to yell at him for him to stop. So.
Oh, you yell at me no matter what, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm resisting, like I always do, to like look at what you're doing, Ben. Because if I do, I'm gonna like want to watch you draw instead of drawing along.
Yeah.
But
I get started talking and I realize I'm not drawing, so
that's all right. It's all right. We just want to get a flavor for your style, and you'll have the opportunity to like kind of polish it up a little bit later on, and we'll definitely feature it when you're done. But just like Rick said, hopefully our audience, if you want to draw along with us, we would definitely appreciate it, and you'll get some feedback from the creator of August, and we would just love to see what you guys come up with.
Brian Menard is drawing along, and I was told to be sure to tell Ben that he was a writer first and foremost. So this is merely this is done for fun more than his skills is in writing.
Oh,
I think that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to excuse his upcoming art, even though we haven't seen it yet.
It might be great. We don't know.
Yeah, Brian is definitely an up-and-coming artist, and I admire him for putting his stuff out there because, we all start somewhere, and we all get inspired by other artists, and I really love that he's putting himself out there and stretching his creative wings and doing art.
Just like Gerald.
It's true. I was like joking with Brian. I said, if I were to take up writing, I would just totally fall on my face. I just don't think I could do it. And then it's great to hear from Ben that he's a writer as well as the penciler, inker, colorist. He just does all of them. So it's just amazing that he can just adapt to all those different styles. So very, very cool.
And another thing before we move on here, I'm not, I'm going so slow, guys. I'm sorry about that. But one of the things I really like about this program is that it lets me streamline my pens and stuff a little bit here. So I've got a lot of brush strokes that came with the software, and these ones here, and then a lot that I just made up over the years.
Oh, hang on. One of our logos is in the way, so let me just remove that. There you go. Yeah, I see you got some Team Lee going on.
Yeah, I probably should call them Scott Williams, to be fair, Jim Lee's regular inker. But the nice thing about that is, depending on what kind of look I want, if I want something a little messy, I've got this brush stroke here I made that just gives you that little bit of the pen, dab that you get sometimes in reality when you do that. I've got a few brushes I use for shading, and I have to be careful with them because you can't always, you don't want to. You always want to keep in mind what this would be like if you're doing it physically. So you can't use them huge and use them small without kind of giving away the game. But you can do a lot of shading, I find this way, with some brushes I really like, and without having to go in and draw it every time. Not only does it save you time to do it, this is so much more easy to work with as I'm going to go in and edit it, as you saw me doing with the hair a little bit before, I was like, that's too big. I don't like it. I'm going to fix it. I start moving things around, and it's a lot easier to work with one stroke that's 3 points and move it around than the probably 30, 40 points I would have if I drew this out, which is what I did when I created the brush. So it's a really nice way to not only save some time initially, while you do have to be careful about how you use them so they don't look too repetitive, it really makes it easier to edit. And one of the things I've found about doing things digitally and streamlining the process wherever I can is you save the time, but you also don't get to that point where you've been working on something forever. It doesn't quite look right, but you're just like, I'm throwing in the towel here. I don't want to do this anymore. You give up. It lets you go a little further, I think. And because that's where pieces really get good, is where you start to refine them and you say, no, I've got to get this right. And this is a tool I found that really helps me do that.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, and Gerald, time is up.
I've stopped.
Right.
What are you talking about?
You're front and center on the screen right now, so you can't say you're stopped.
Oh shoot! You're supposed to be showing our guesswork. What are you doing?
No, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. Let me see. Put the pencil.
I can't wait to see. It's awesome. I love it.
Put the pencil down.
Fantastic.
Okay, pencil is down. Pencil is down. All right. Oh, look at what Ben's done. I totally see where you're going, and I know that it's definitely hard when you have to talk and draw at the same time. But I see what you're doing, and I'm still amazed
that you've done there. It's fantastic. Well, yeah, and this I hope shows a little bit of how I do things. Is that I really try to focus on what it's going to be in the end product, and because a lot of times I'd get done with a page, I'd draw it, I would do the inks and the blacks. Oh, this looks great.
Oh, hang on. We're still talking about yours.
Yeah, let's talk about. Can you zoom in? Ben, can you zoom in?
Sure. Yeah, let me go back to that real quick.
And then you can talk about it. Look at that.
There's some problems with the proportions here that I would fix, and you kind of saw me moving around the hair pieces before. I need to make the eyes wider to move out a little bigger. They're a little small now. But doing it this way, I found the advantage for me is that I'm seeing the final. I'm not drawing something out and it looks cool as a sketch, but then when I really need to get in there and pick a line and draw it, make it look clean, it doesn't quite have the foundation. So doing it this way, at least to somebody like me, it's nice to see this is your black shape. This is the shadow under the eye. This is the shadow under the nose.
Yes.
If it's not right, fix it there.
Yeah.
Not have a bunch of blue lines that, I think that'll look good when I clean it up. It's the thing, and you just fix it, or if it's right the first time, you keep it. And a lot of times I'll even go further than that. I will, if I were start rendering out the hair and some of the shadows on the face, I would probably, I wouldn't fully color it, but I would lay down some color. So many times I've gotten done with a black and white page, I've colored it, and it looks, because the color adds so much division. If you have a bluish background and a warmer colored foreground, you really you clean it up so much, and it ends up something that looks very detailed in black and white. It looks almost simple in color, because the color's doing so much of the separation for you. Your eyes looking for more stuff. At least mine is. I mean, other people. I'm talking for myself there. So that's the reason I really like to approach things this way, and it I'm sure has a lot to do with how I work for my commercial art stuff. Is I always want to have something that gives me the best idea of the final while I'm doing it, not go down these other roads. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that even in this state, what you're capturing, even though it's like you said, you're going to be able to refine and pick the lines and do adjustments. You've captured the essence, the gesture, the attitude. That's what I look at this especially when you zoomed in. If you can zoom in just a little bit more, when I saw it zoomed out, I didn't see all the little expressive details, all the little subtleties, and it's the line weights that you've done. And even though this is in a very rough state, it speaks so much already. And I can just say that I know that as you add in more details, as you pick those lines, as you refine them, that you've already captured so much in the gesture. And you can almost say, what is he thinking? Has he got somebody in his sights? Is he ticked off? I mean, you've already captured so much attitude in just this really,
Thanks. I hope so.
A small composition. And again, I'm just amazed that you're using a mouse. That's just
it's definitely not. And actually, it's a little harder on my laptop here. It's a PC, and I'm still getting used to it in two ways. My mouse is a little jumpier on my laptop, and in addition, I think people, if anyone out there is a PC and a Mac person, the amount of mental distress I get from switching back and forth, and the command key is your shortcut on Mac, the control key is on the PC, so I'm constantly hitting the Windows key and making that thing pop up when I don't mean to, and vice versa. So
it looks great, and we encourage you if you get the chime, because I know that you're a busy man. It's like a little.
Oh no, absolutely! I'd like to finish this up and
definitely flesh it out. But while we're looking at, let's look at Rick. Let's look at our art showcase.
I'd love to see this. I have.
This is from Brian Menard, which I was told to again make sure that you knew. He's a writer first and an artist second.
That looks great, Brian.
I'd love to see it. This is great.
And we got. Let me just. We got one here from.
I love this.
From the amazing and very talented Logan Tolliver.
Logan!
Awesome.
So, Logan,
I can't express to you how cool it is to see. I've never seen anyone else draw him, and it's just amazing. I love it.
Logan is a really young artist, but already he's just heads and toes better than, let's say, his father, Joe Tolliver, is. In my humble opinion, the son is already better than the father.
Yeah, so Logan, great job. I like the anime influence.
And here we got one of our most valued followers, because she's here all the time. One of our biggest supporters as well.
Yes.
Sarah, she's always drawing along. And
it's
this one
to see, like, you guys, I look at his face.
Let's see here.
Right. I mean, it looks right to me. It looks like him.
Yeah. I mean, you can easily tell it that it's him.
Got his attitude. It's there. I love it.
Great job, Sarah. Thank you for drawing along with us. So
absolutely.
And I think those wait for this round.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really cool. I'm glad that people drew along with us. And I guess here, let me just. Did we already show my art? I didn't even know if we did.
Oh yeah. You can. Oh wait. You got art as well. I keep forgetting.
I just wanted to show this really quick. I kind of liked. We were talking about Star Wars stuff, and I kind of wanted to do the. I think it's kind of like a Han Solo kind of pose more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I definitely.
You got his. It's patterned after Steve McQueen's weapon from Wanted Dead or Alive. Which is an old show from the 60s, and it was kind of his springboard to fame. And great.
It was fun. I definitely liked where you were going.
Oh.
We got to see Rick's head really big right there. I mean, head Rick.
Oh. No.
All right. Oh, so let's no. That was a real treat to see.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So you're a real pro there, Rick. Making sure those cameras are all good. so anyway, that was a real treat. I hope our audience got to. Hey Ed, how you doing? I hope everybody enjoyed learning a little bit more about August, and I want everybody to look forward to seeing that debut later on this year. And we're gonna have Ben back on the show when that actually drops. So that
love to, absolutely,
because it is done. We didn't get a chance to talk a little bit about the villain. I wanted to say this during the live drawing, but I was having a hard time multitasking because, I tend to be a little bit tunnel vision with certain things. But I wanted to say that when we were showing some of the artwork, let me go back to sharing. I just want to show this one more time before we go to our Rick challenge, because I know Rick is just waiting with bated breath to tell us what that Rick challenge is going to be. But when we were looking at the pictures from August, I wanted to go back to this one, because this, to me, when I was doing the pre-show with Ben yesterday, I was like, tell me, were you influenced from a certain 80s action flick by the name of Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, that was the influence. And this is if you watch that 80s action flick, he had that big bazooka that was like four. It was a 4-barrel bazooka, and it looked just like this. And I was just like, this is just classic homage to the movies and things that we grew up with. So I just wanted to like do one more shout out to you, Ben, in terms of being able to capture the essence of that time period in our lives and bring it into your book.
Yeah, and that's what I had I just had kind of a logistical problem. I needed a door to blow up, actually, and then the villain would be there. And I thought, well, he blows it up, and I should use that. And, it really establishes him. He is, one of those guys. He's Colonel Guile. He's Arnold. He's sort of G.I. Joe type character. And but he's the bad guy. But I wanted to, let his introduction, not the first time you see him in the comic, it's the first time you see him live, and you see what's happened to him, to really be tied to that. It's like, okay, he's one of those guys. That's going to be our antagonist.
Oh, when I said I'll kill you last.
I lied.
I lied.
That's a great line, Rick. I'm
not gonna thank Joe for commenting that line. So it was totally mine.
Oh, okay? All right, I'll let you guys battle on who came up with it first. But this is Rick. This is Rick's favorite part of the show, aside from when he can harass me or when he can get to the live drawing part and talk over me and stuff like that. This is his most favorite part, which is what we call the Rick Challenge. So Rick Challenge is obviously compliments of Rick. I do not know what it is. Our guest does not know what it is, and we just sort of. This round you kind of know. I kind of spoiled it in the pre-show. Right, but
however, Benjamin, it seems like you're looking on the internet right now. I hope it's not for reference, because reference is not allowed in the Rick.
Not allowed. Oh, all right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, we did get a little bit of a preview of what the challenge is going to be thematically about, because if you guys are a fan of a certain independent comic book or like an indie comic book that just blew up.
I am.
Yes, Rick has said on many shows.
All the shows, I think.
Yes, he pretty much says he's a huge fan of Robert Kirkman's Invincible. And if you are a nerd, well, I have to turn in my nerd cred, because I totally have not read Invincible. I've heard so many good things about it. But the really cool thing is the cartoon debuted on Amazon Prime, I think.
Excuse me. It's called an animated series.
Oh, okay. The animated series. It dropped this week, and it's caused all sorts of just. There's two camps. I think everybody that was a fan of Invincible loved that it actually came to screen, but there's a little bit of controversy about it. But I don't know enough to talk about it. But I'm just gonna put that as the preface. Rick, you can.
It's not controversy. It's great, and everybody loved it. Okay.
I'll talk about the controversy that I heard, and I had to be that fly on the wall, that third person in the conversation who just heard about it, who doesn't really know about it, but just heard some fans griping about certain things.
Well, they're not real fans, then. Let's move on.
Okay. All right, Rick, you let us know what that drawing challenge is, and Ben and I will be accommodated. So what's going on?
Okay, so I'm gonna pick a character that was, as far as I know, not in the anime, has not been shown in the animated series yet, but is in the comic and is one of the most popular characters in the comics. I want you to draw Battle Beast.
Battle Beast.
I have no idea. I thought we were going to draw Invincible.
I don't exactly remember what he looks like. I remember the name. So
you people at home that's drawing. You people that's drawing at home as well, remember, no reference. I will give you a little more info here.
Okay.
Yes,
I need a description. What is that?
I have a picture of Invincible up just because I didn't remember what his costume looked like. So you got me there, man.
Yeah, so Benjamin admits to cheating from the get-go.
I didn't know there were rules about this.
Okay. Battle Beast was once the planetary guardian of his home planet. However, due to the constant fighting, he would grow addicted to it and eventually leave to seek worthy combatants all around the universe. So he's a beast. He enjoys battle.
Really? That's a no.
It's
in his name. Okay, can you describe him?
Sarah, Gerald, and Benjamin doesn't know either.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
you have to give.
I remember Science Dog or Science Wolf, but that's who I'm picturing in my head. I don't remember Battle Beast.
Okay, to be fair.
To be fair,
because we both don't know about it, you need to give us at least a basic description, and then we go. From there.
He's a beast that loves battle.
Okay, what kind of?
You got 25 minutes from now.
Tell us what kind of beast. Is he a wolf? Is he a a dog? Is he a tiger? Can you give us a
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Time is going.
Okay.
All right.
Gotta do a battle beast. Okay.
Yes, Heidi, this is almost a freakish shot moment again.
Okay. Okay, battle beast.
So you said you were an Invincible fan, Benjamin, or at least
I think I was into it. I read after. I think there's a big twist. I don't want to spoil for everyone who has not watched the show or read the comic about his, I guess, his status quo and his.
Okay.
I read after that, and I think I got to maybe. I think he was dealing with the alien. It was Adam the alien or something like that. Alan the alien.
Yeah, Alan the alien. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was about when the story had got to that point. He was also dealing with sort of a Lex Luthor guy that had some extra dimensional powers, and that was I think where I was reading it for about a year.
Angston Levy.
That's it. That's the name. Yeah. So I remember those guys.
I do believe you have encountered Battle Beast in your storyline there.
All right. Well, I will do my best. I'm gonna make
this isn't really going to spoil anything, but remember when he's fighting a group of superpowered mafia people?
I don't think so.
Okay, then this would be fun for you.
Okay.
So what are you thinking, Gerald, in particular, when I say Battle Beast? What was your first thought?
I'm just picking a beast, and in this case, I don't know what kind of beast he is because you wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, but what are you thinking? What are your thoughts when I told you the origin and I told you the name? What are your thoughts? What are your idea here?
I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see because
Come on, I'm trying to.
I just picked a random beast because I don't know what kind of beast he is, so we will go from there. I got a feeling he's gonna look like a villain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles instead of.
Well, he always does. He already does, from what I can see.
Okay, so I picked. Well, no, I'm just gonna let it go. You guys just gonna have to. You're just gonna have to wait and see, Rick. So what he looks like.
All right. I guess I'm seeing this more as like someone like Calabac from the New Gods.
Ooh, interesting.
In lieu of,
interesting.
That's really
in lieu of any reference, which you have completely caught me flat-footed here.
Mm-hmm.
Arelis Delgado says Rick isn't empathic at all, and I think I've watched too much Trophy to be empathic with the help. I think I gave them a lot of help here, as it was.
I think you totally left it open.
Oh wait, I kind of remember. Was he a gangster, Battle Beast?
He was in there as one of the henchmen, yeah. And then after the fight, he got bored because no one could beat him, and he just teleported away.
I do remember that. Oh, I can't picture it, but I remember it. Well, I'm going to go with Fedora, maybe. I think this will be an interesting mix.
A fedora? Yeah, because a fedora is the sign of battle.
Well, he's a gangster.
Everybody knows that.
He's a gangster who is battling, is my take on it. It's a little too rumpled there, or like Indiana Jones. But
no, Joe, I'm not gonna pull up Art Show and let you spoil everybody. the joke is that they shouldn't know who it is before they're done. So I'm not gonna do that, Joe. Joe's trying to cheat and help you guys. So yeah, Battle Beast is actually one of my favorite characters in Invincible, and I can't wait to see him in the animated show. Have you been able to watch that yet, Ben?
I have not. My wife, actually, we were deciding what to watch the other night, and she had that queued up, and she sort of had the idea that it was not necessarily a superhero show, that it was like sort of a show that the superhero thing was maybe something one of the characters imagined or wrote about or created, but it was a normal show or a science fiction-y show. And she said, I'm surprised you picked that. She said, well, it's not like a superhero show. I said, oh, yeah, it certainly is.
Yeah.
Well, let's watch something else then. So that was that was my brush with almost watching Invincible.
Oh, okay. Well, I can only say as a big fan, as you probably noticed, of Invincible, I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it, even though I knew what was going on. There was still a few changes, like if you read the Walking Dead comics and then watch the series there would be new things and new changes even in the first season that would keep you hanging on with that one. It's the same with the Invincible show.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Well, I'm sorry, Jared, were you saying something?
Oh yeah, I was going to chime in terms of like what I heard from fans that said that they were a little disappointed about it. They were disappointed by the pace. They said that they glossed over a lot of the things that could have been explored in the comics.
Yeah, well, that's because I think that's because Robert Kirkman have a tendency to make contingency plans, like in almost everything that's happening, and you can't really do that in an animated show to keep the animated show interesting.
Oh, okay. So you
kind of have to pick and choose of what's important.
Okay, so you're okay with the fact that they covered so much stuff and left out so many things based on.
They're covering the most important parts of the comic right now, so that they haven't left anything vital out.
Oh, okay, all right. So that's good to hear, because I heard a lot of fans just saying that they didn't.
Well, they're wrong, yeah. I told you this.
A lot of setup. A lot of setup that was just that could have made the payoff to where they're at right now that were totally ignored, and that's what people were upset.
Yeah, I agree that it could be more exciting if that was on, but they also have to remember that there's a difference between a comic book, how to make story in a comic book, and how to make story in an animated show.
I would just think that the pacing has got to be so much different. When you need to have your payoffs, when you need to keep people hanging on certain things, that it would be a really different challenge. How long are the episodes? Are they half an hour?
They're actually almost an hour, like 45 minutes.
All right.
Joe here is. I just started liking Joe a little bit more, even though he tried to cheat and help you guys out with the Battle Beast. He just bought the comics himself. After he watched the first 3 episodes of the show.
Oh wow.
And that's what I like as well. As I was saying, that it's so different that you can do both. And I highly encourage people that like the animated series already to buy the comics, because they're just buy them, damn it.
I think that Rick,
10 more minutes, guys.
Rick must be getting like a check from Robert Kirkman to like talk.
Oh, no, I'm doing this for free because Robert Kirkman is great. And Ryan Otley, the main artist that stuck around for.
Ryan Otley is amazing.
He is. His style and everything, and that he's not afraid to go a bit gory is my favorite thing.
Yeah, and I think Jarrell and I talked about this yesterday a little bit. My fights in August do get pretty, they're injuries sustained, I guess I'll say. And but I never wanted to be too gory. I always wanted to make sure, like, my nephew could read it. But Otley was the example of those battles in Invincible. Man, he goes for it. They are so cool. I guess I'm saying just how beat up everyone gets. but it really serves the story. He is another one of my, top artists, absolute favorite. And I think he does that. I've never seen anyone do that. All the determination and the damage those guys take, it really sells it.
And the expressions.
Yeah.
His ability to just draw expressions out of a few lines is also something to.
Yeah, and he's somebody who is very, I would say, deceptively. It looks cartoonish in some panels, but he really packs so much in there. Every line he makes is right, and it's amazing stuff. I can talk about it all day.
I can talk Invincible all year if I was allowed, but it's not an Invincible show. It's a Benjamin Morse show, and I'm loving what you're doing. This just looks like I said Mafia and Mob, and that's what you picked up. You didn't pick up Battle or Beast. You picked up Mafia. And
well, my thinking was I was starting to think Calabac from the New Gods, so I was going in that direction. And then you did the Mafia thing on me, so I said, okay, well, let's put him in a suit, because I actually do remember that. I think it's an issue end where he's working for the gangsters and he's frustrated with what's going on and he leaves, and but I cannot for the life of me remember what he looked like, and I'm really looking forward to Googling it the second we're done here and see how.
I will show it here on stream.
All right.
To make sure, at least for Gerald's sake, how wrong he was.
Oh, so you're well, of course you didn't.
Because he's basically just drawing Rocksteady from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No.
I'm pretty sure I said Invincible, Benjamin. You got to agree with me there. Did I say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at any moment, chat? I don't.
I just picked a beast because you didn't tell me what beast it was, and rhinoceros came to my head. So but you know what? If you think that, okay, so he's in the Mafia, all right. So we'll make him mafioso.
Well, time is gonna be up like in 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll figure out a way to make him mafioso in 3 minutes. So.
I said that was a second of a scene where he is for a second of
That's what you get for not telling me anything. I don't know.
This hurts me on so many levels.
Well,
on so many levels.
Well, I thought we were going to be drawing Invincible, but we're not.
Yeah, of course you were, because that would be the easy one. That would be the easy choice, right? When have I ever given you the easy choice, Gerald?
You never give me anything. That's it.
Oh, I gave you Freakazoid. That's an easy choice because it's in the name.
Okay, let me ask Ben. Do you know who Freakazoid is? Do you know?
I know it's tangentially related to Batman Beyond, or no, Spielberg and Warner Brothers. Right?
Yeah.
I'm confused with the Zeta Project, but no, I've seen clips of it. I went to a thing in Brooklyn once with my wife. You go to this movie theater called Nighthawk, and they show Saturday morning cartoons. And I think Freakazoid was one that they showed. But that had been the first time I'd seen it.
Okay, so I don't feel
super
too bad.
That counts, Gerald. That counts as he knew more than you.
He did know. Okay, all right.
And with that being said, 10.
Oh, what?
9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down.
All right.
My pencils down. Yep.
No, your pencils are not that, Gerald. We are looking at you. We're looking. Put your pencil down.
Go to our guest cam. Go to our guest cam.
Yeah, when you put your pencil down. Put your pencil down. Thank you.
Okay, that's definitely a beast. I was thinking more of a, like I said, somebody like Calabac or Orion when he's mad, but beastly, but a little more anthropomorphic.
Okay, so before we go on, let's show how he looks for just 1 second here. Then this is Battle Beast.
Oh yeah.
Why couldn't you tell us?
The question was like a lion, mountain lion.
Yeah, why didn't you tell us at least he was a cat, like?
Because that wouldn't have been fun.
Because What? I don't see any mafia look to him.
I never said he had a mafia look. See, this is the place where he says, "Hey, you hired me to do something, and this is nothing, so I'm gonna leave." This is the scene I was talking about, where he was hired by the mafia to help him.
Okay. I thought he had to look like a mafia guy.
I just ran with that. I thought maybe he was like, hey, I'm mafia. He's like, I don't like this hat and the suit. I'm going to go be more of a barbarian. I'm not sure.
And listen, that's what makes it fun, giving you only this. At least, Benjamin, I'll give you this. You were creative and you ran with it. Yeah. But you just made Rocksteady. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't even excuse this. You did Rocksteady, Gerald.
Look up Rocksteady. He does not look like Rocksteady. He doesn't have the glasses, which is a Rocksteady.
Bebop has the glasses, I think.
Brian Menard says, I need that pic of Rocksteady. Joe Tolliver says, loving this drawing of Rocksteady.
It's all...
Says Rocksteady.
Okay, look up a picture of Rocksteady. Pull up a picture of Rocksteady on and let's just how much he looks like Rocksteady. I don't think he looks like Rocksteady.
He looks more like Rocksteady than he looks like Battle Beast.
Well, because you didn't tell me what kind of beast he was.
Well, I didn't.
You could have said cat, lion. I think we would have been a little closer.
Yeah.
But that's what I like. I like people who force people to be creative and be fun about it. It's not about being.
Okay. Well, I tried. It's not quite a Freakazoid moment, but it's pretty close.
No, this is completely different. See, this is totally
pretty atypical Rocksteady.
I thought Rocksteady had those crazy 80s glasses.
No, that's Bebop.
Oh,
yeah, that's Bebop.
Okay.
Oh, you don't even know your 80s. Let's just go over to the art show here.
Okay, let's look at the art show.
I want to say again, guys, the only reason I'm not giving you saying you're not using the reference is because I want to see your creativity instead of you actually doing a direct fan version of the character. So that is what the fun part is to force you guys to be creative. Apparently that doesn't work with Gerald because he just make Rocksteady, but everybody else have been creative with it.
Yeah.
Let's see here as an example.
Let's go see what other people have drawn. So
this is Sarah. I think she went with the mafia as well. And she went with an alien look, like an alien bug look, which can be a beast. So
see?
Beast is a very, very broad term.
Yes, Ben, preach. When you just say it's a beast, it could be any beast. It could be Bebop.
So I just muted Gerald because he keeps coming with excuses for no reason. While I will go on here for 1 second. He's mad at me now because I muted him.
I can unmute myself.
Okay. So let's see here. This is Brian Menard. I have a feeling that he did the reference look.
Well, maybe he knew who Battle Beast was. So don't say he looked up a reference. I think
many people, had I read Invincible in the last year or so, I certainly would have. I think remembered it, so I wouldn't assume he was looking it up.
Yeah.
And here we have. I'm yelling at Joe for trying to help you guys with the original look, and Joe is just.
All right. So that was, I would have to say,
I enjoyed this one really, really a lot. Thank you guys so much for being so creative. Except you, Gerald.
I think I have to say in the pantheon of Rick challenges, this is going to score a little bit low for me because I think you could have given us a little bit more information and it because it just was so open.
Let me get my violin for you for a second.
Okay, all right. But that being said, let's go to our third live drawing challenge, which I'm going to share screen one more time, and let's go into here, and sharing this. Okay, so we just did we did August 1st. Now we're gonna do this. Now this is Captain Lancet, and he is the main hero in We Are Scarlet Twilight. I want our audience to like take a screen capture of this and get a good idea of what he looks like. Let me pull this up right here, and we can kind of like get a body shot here of. You see him jumping through a window here. Here's a good one that shows how his guns, and you see him leaping, and you can see that. I just love this design, just really, really cool. So that being said, our audience, take note of what Captain Lancet is, and I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on you there, Ben. So when we're drawing him, if you could kind of give a little more details without spoiling anything about him. Maybe you can talk about his costume, or maybe that really cool insignia on his chest. I don't know. There's so many. His guns. Yeah. I think that's really cool. But what is it, Rick? You can take over question duties. And
no, you mean after you just told him what to talk about? I can take over. Okay. Thank you.
Look at that. This is the kind of harassment that I get, Ben.
Well, this is the treatment I get. He does everything and just takes over.
Whatever. Anyway. Okay, let's. I'm gonna unshare my screen. Let's get.
Ladies and gentlemen, so here he is.
Yep.
Let's see him again. Yep, I got you, Sarah. If Joel would just put him. Yeah, we got you, Sarah. Don't worry, we got you. So yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that first and foremost, what kind of gun is he using?
It's kind of a ray gun, so it's part of his arsenal. I was inspired to have. It serves a plot purpose. It's, I think, not the purpose it initially appears to. And there are some clues, even in the previews that are on the campaign page, that might make you think something's up with those. But those are his Lancet rays, he calls them, and definitely inspired by kind of the silly names they would come up with in old serials for things like that. And that's what I was drawing upon there. And the fact that he has two of them is a direct inspiration from the Phantom. Is one of my favorites. He always had the two, and I feel like that gave him really iconic poses. And I'm obviously, if you look at Captain Lancet, he's drawn from a lot. There's old school Batman, there's old school the Phantom. There's a lot of that stuff, and the two guns is from the Phantom. So they serve a plot purpose that is a little bit under wraps. But they are also a cool excuse to, pay homage to the Phantom is a favorite, and also to just draw cool ray guns, which I think everyone mostly enjoys.
Everybody got a love of ray gun after all.
Yeah, what kid doesn't want a ray gun? So, lift him down and get.
So yeah, tell a little more about why he looks like he does. For some reason, I have this U.S. agent in my head when I look at him. Like,
oh, I can see that. Yeah,
a sense of
kind of a Captain America set up to the mask. Let me get the basics of him drawn, but yeah, I definitely see U.S. agent. As far as his insignia, which I'm trying to get to as quick as I can. It's sort of meant to look. I was drawing influence from Frank Lloyd Wright's window patterns in some of his designs, if you've seen those, which are a really cool Art Deco look. And so I kind of played around with some of those shapes and made them symmetrical until I got some shapes I liked. And I also wanted to have kind of a regal air, because without getting too much into it, Captain Lancet is very much wants to be an all-American hero. His background is a little bit different. And I wanted to suggest that in some of his looks. So there's a bit of a regal aspect to that logo that I hope is not too overwhelming. It's not that important that it suggests that necessarily, but it is, I think, when he was coming up with his persona, something he felt drawn to in the story, if that were a real thing. So
I completely forgot to say that. Let's say 20 minutes for this one as well.
Oh, okay.
And let's say about 5 has gone already.
Okay. And I'm just roughing him in here.
Yeah, I mean, when you said Frank Lloyd Wright, I was like, oh shoot, you're right. I see it as soon as you said it. I did see it. I'm able to see it as well now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that was one of my things I wanted to do. I love, I think you could see from someone who would make this comic, I really love the Justice Society. I love those old costumes. I like the old costumes you even see in Watchmen that Dave Gibbons came up with. And I wanted to take that. I wanted to definitely do even some of the sillier things that those costumes do. But I also did want something, like the Art Deco stuff that's a little bit, you don't necessarily see those in those old costumes. So that was my nod. And I hope it ties him together just visually. It makes him look more like part of the architecture. It makes him belong to that time.
Alfred Pennyworth also said something here that's interesting. Maybe it's just the lighting and shade, but I got a Nightcrawler vibe from the full body panel. And to be honest, with the color scheme and everything and how it's set up, I can see that.
Yeah, it's a very Nightcrawler pose. Now that I look at, he's sort of jumping down, and I want it to be. It's kind of the first time we see him in the story where he's, I'm jumping onto the scene, and I wanted that to be a very. I didn't want it to go too campy, but I did want some element of camp to it, or at least remind you of things like that.
Yeah, that's now a position, people. You haha. So is he like a superpowered, or will that spoil anything?
Well, I'll say this: he certainly does not want to look like he's superpowered.
and yet he dresses up like he is superpowered.
Well, I mean, he could be a Batman type guy. The Phantom doesn't have powers.
That's true.
Batman doesn't have powers. Captain America has limited powers. So
limited. The super serum is limited. Tell that to Hulk.
But so I get where he's going with it, though. I mean, that's...
yeah, I understand. I understand it, and I have to say the Phantom has superpowers. That ring he hits people with, it hits so hard that you get a mark in your face no matter where he hits. That's kind of a superpower.
I certainly wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it. I'll say that much.
I'm just in. I still can't believe you're drawing with a mouth in a program I've never heard of, and on a Mac of all things.
Well, this is on a PC, and I'm a little sluggish on this because it's
better than usual. I get that.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. The Mac I generally draw on, the mouse is a little smoother. To get really, I guess, into the details, the PC I've got a good mouse. I like it. But the settings had like notches to them where you only have maybe 6 settings, and it's a little too fast and a little too slow are the two options. And I think this is the option that's a little too fast. So my mouse is jumping around on me a little bit quicker than I'm accustomed to, which is throwing me off a bit. But other than that, this is kind of how I do it, and just always have.
I like the approach. I like different approaches. Not that I'll ever be like, hey, I'll just stop doing my style and go back to mouse. Because I remember back in the days before I even knew what a tablet was, and I wanted to, hey, this digital thing is new and exciting. I want to try that. And I cramped my hand because I wanted to have it go so slow, the lines and everything. I'm just happy I found out what a tablet that you could get a pen with it.
Yeah. I mean, when I first had, we got our first computer I was allowed to mess around with, we could mess around in MS Paint, and I would sit there and just go pixel by pixel almost. And
I did that as well until my hand hurt, like. And then I took a rest, and then I went and did it all over.
Oh.
I remember I actually made a He-Man paint in MS Paint back when I was like 10 years old. I think that was my first ever digital drawing. Do you remember your first digital drawing, Gerald?
My first digital drawing? No,
yeah.
I don't. Because I've not become very proficient at drawing digitally. So to me, it's like
Was it Rocksteady?
Oh, here we go. No, it was Freakazoid. No, it wasn't. Obviously, I didn't know who Freakazoid was, but yeah, I don't recall. But I have to say that I'm still continually impressed that you are drawing with a mouse. That just blows my mind.
5 more minutes, guys.
5 minutes? Where does time go?
It really flies away.
But you know,
No, it goes like normal. It doesn't change speed just because we are talking here.
well, maybe since this is our last drawing, let's get a little bit more time for our guest, not for me, right? Right?
Well, if our guest do you need more time, guest?
Oh, I'll go as long as
Yes.
as long as we have.
Just say yes. Say yes.
Do it, guys.
There you go. He wants more time.
I'm surrounded by yes sayers.
You're never gonna catch me saying, "No, let's not draw anymore. I'm done."
No, that's true. Okay, 5 more hours, people.
5 more hours. Oh, that's great. That's great.
One thing I will, that might be interesting, or maybe it's boring, and then I'll shut up about it. But one thing I did want to throw into Captain Lancet's design is I have a huge influence of mine, and I think just about everyone's, is Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Yes.
His designs for the DC characters that they're just absolutely what everyone grew up with. They are like the standard. And in designing Captain Lancet's look, I knew I wanted him to have one of those sort of Golden Age masks. I didn't want it to necessarily be like Batman's, because once you have a guy where his the nose is covered and it goes up like that, it's just Batman without the ears. I absolutely didn't want to do that, but I had to find a way. I love the way Garcia Lopez draws Batman's sort of brow and the eye shape and the way the eyebrow shape is there.
Yeah.
Was just something I like. That part though, we have to use that. That's got to be there. And even watching, the Michael Keaton Batman, they almost got the mask to look like that, and I think that really made it look awesome.
That's one of the reasons I still like that movie, is how they made that Batman outfit actually be able to give out so much expression. Yeah.
I mean, they had just a fantastic performance under. I know that thing must be pretty hard to get around in, but he really did have a lot of character, even in a pretty stoic role, I guess I would say. You don't see Batman making a lot of jokes or having a lot of expressions, but you do get a real good sense of who he is, and I think a lot of that is due to them looking at the comics, as far as not necessarily the colors of the costume and some things. I like that they changed some things I don't, but I also really like that the brow design looked enough like Batman that I think we just sort of fill in the blanks a little more, because it resembles the Batman we're used to in that regard.
Completely agree.
Who was your favorite Batman?
Obviously the cartoon version Kevin Conroy plays is I think the Batman voice everyone hears in their head. Live action, I don't know. I'm a little torn. I think Ben Affleck did such a great job.
The physical,
it's just so hard to get past. He's so famous. He's been in so many roles that it is a little hard for me to be like, that's Batman, which is, I hate to say, because I think he did everything.
He played. I found him playing an older Batman as he was intended to be really good.
Yeah, and I think that certainly everyone has their opinion about how they handle the character and the guns and all that. I don't necessarily love the Batman shooting people all the time, or some of just how dark they went with it, but that's certainly not due to the performance. I think he was a good Batman, a good Bruce Wayne. He just didn't quite, he just had too much baggage from his other roles for me to be like, okay, cool, Batman. Whereas Henry Cavill was, I think, pretty famous before he was Superman, but enough that I'm still like, yeah, Superman. I'm into it. I'm with you there.
I completely agree. I do believe that Ben Affleck did the best Bruce Wayne, though.
Oh yeah,
of them all.
His and Alfred's dialogue is fantastic. And it really goes a long way towards selling that.
Well, I think during everybody will knock Batman versus Superman, but that scene where he goes to rescue Martha, that is the most brutal the physicality that Ben Affleck brought to Batman. You feel. I mean, if that was the masked vigilante that you saw that was coming for you because you did something wrong, then that is the Batman that you would.
I mean,
Yeah.
You rethink your direction. Yeah, you do not want to mess with that guy.
Right.
And it's funny, my partner in Cleveland is my business partner is a huge comic book fan, but he goes back much further. He's a little older, and he's a big fan of the 70s stuff, Neil Adams, Jack Kirby in the 60s, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of his baseline. He watched that movie, and we were talking on the phone about it. He's like, oh, I couldn't believe all this dark dialogue they written in there. This person must have hated the comics. And I said, well, actually, that's dialogue lifted from the comics.
Exactly.
He had read Dark Knight Returns, and his friends are all comic book fiends like us, and so they knew that when Batman was saying like, "Oh, my parents taught me a different lesson, dying in the gutter," and it was just, if you didn't know that, you'd be like, "What on earth?" Because that's right, that line. And his take was that they must have just hated Batman, and I said, "Well, yes and no. I guess I can certainly see why it came across in the way that it did, but I think they were just trying to do a lot there."
Here's the thing, though: if you only seen the original Batman vs Superman and not the extended Snyder cut, so to speak, yeah, I understand why people are not a big fan of that, but just the small additional scenes in the extended cut really makes everything about that movie so much better.
I agree.
I think I didn't see it in the theater, so I only saw the extended cut. I'm not quite sure.
In the theaters, as an instance, if people haven't seen the movie already, I can't really call this a spoiler because it's so damn old now.
Yeah, I think the statue.
But in the theater version, there, when we see why Batman dislikes Superman so much, where he is in Metropolis, where the fight with Superman and Zod goes on. That's really not there at all, almost compared to the extended version.
Oh, wow.
So we really don't get that feel of why Batman dislikes Superman so much.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's hard to imagine being wrong. It's weird in that I look at so many parts of those movies and I'm like, what on earth made them think to do that? That's so far off what we think about these characters. And yet the tone in some parts is like, yeah, you don't want to just do a Marvel movie. You want to approach them and make them a little more mythic. And
come on now.
I kind of, it's a tough job.
Yeah. Plus, besides, DC has always been known to be a little more grittier and darker than Marvel comics. So they had to keep that in the movies as well. Is how I see it, and the reason why they did it that way, and it made completely sense to me.
Yeah.
And with that being said, it's pencils down.
What? Pencils
down?
No. Okay. All right. My pencils down. Yep.
Stop lying, Gerald. Do I need to put you on the screen again? No, I thought so.
Okay. Yeah. Let's look at our guest work.
Yeah, I can still see your cam.
I see it. Oh, look at that.
I just want to fix the shadow a little bit. It didn't look quite right.
Oh, that looks.
I don't have a pencil, so I didn't think you meant me.
Yeah, that looks great.
And I wanted to, it's so hard to do this and talk. I've never tried to do it before, and I wish I had prepared a little bit. I might have been better at it. I did want to get into some of the shading because this is like how I shade a lot of things. Is I have a few brush strokes that are of different weight. If I want a quick dry brush effect, I have a lighter one. I have a middle one, sort of a Goldilocks situation. But it's a real time saver. And even if it's not what I end up using, if I take it out and I want to go back and just do it all by hand or stroke by stroke, it at least lets me rough in, the density of line, the density of like how gray, how dark, all that. So it really, I'm always looking for ways to step ahead a little bit, if not to be to the final product, to know how what I'm doing right now is going to be reflected in the final product.
That looks. Can you zoom in? I want to see. Yeah, I love, even though this is so rough, I love the fact that you were talking about how you have these pre-done like hatch strokes to to do that, and it's so neat to see this from a vector standpoint. And it's just this is a great lesson.
Really nice small file sizes. These end up being like sometimes I use bitmap effects and I'll throw it in there so they'll get up there. But if you just have vector in here, this file is going to be like 100 kilobytes.
I know, that's so
and you can save it out. There are limits; it'll crash, but you can save it poster sized. It's not going to lose anything. So that's again something from a commercial art standpoint. a client tells me, yeah, we got to have this. It's got to go on a brochure, so it needs to be this by this. So you do it in Photoshop, and there's, wait a second, we need to put this on a big sign. And then you have to explain to them why it's not going to look good.
Yep.
And they sort of go with you, but sometimes they don't. They think like, they're just putting me on. They could do it if they wanted to. Or they see like, I just read an article about upscaling. You can just hit a button, right? So I'm always a little more comfortable in vector because you've got that flexibility.
Yeah, it's always funny when a guest. I've seen that meme where the guest will say, "Hey, here's an animated GIF. Can you blow this up to a billboard?" It's always so funny. It's like, "Oh, here's our logo. It's in Microsoft Publisher."
And I don't want to, I don't want to beat up on anybody. I don't know about what they do. I probably ask similarly, not knowledgeable questions. But that's just, I always want to be as flexible as I can in anything I do, and I can see sort of how I ended up here. Yeah, in terms of my workflow.
Very, very cool. Hey, Rick, so did anybody draw along with us?
Of course they did.
Oh, great.
I can't wait. Let's go back there.
Here, Sarah is apologizing and says she needs more time with this, but I do believe she did a good job for what it is.
And you see, I didn't get very far either, but it looks fantastic.
Yes, Sarah, nailing it still. I see where she's going with it. I like the pose. You can already tell that Captain Lancet has this look of determination. So whoever he's playing on the other end, they're going to get it.
It's terrible for confusing Bebop with Rocksteady.
Oh, we're bringing up Rocksteady again. Let's let that go.
I mean, Alfred did it when Alfred did it here.
Okay. All right, Brett, who is also AKA Alfred Pennyworth. Yeah. So
and we got Brian Menard.
Hey, look at that.
Awesome. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but this is so cool to see. It really is. This stuff, it exists in my head. I put it down the page. I hope somebody likes it. The Kickstarter is going well. Just to see other people doing this is so cool.
Yeah.
I like when we get that. I like when we get that exact reaction from our guests. Everybody seems to like it when we do this, and we show them that, hey, our fans like your stuff as well, and they do. I like your stuff.
Jarrell, this is great.
And I guess we might look at this guy as well. Hey, that's not Bebop.
Oh
no, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
you've gotten so much. You were really fast.
Well, he is fast.
I am not fast. That's probably the last.
If only he was good as well, it would be great.
No, I think this is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It looks good.
It was fun. And I really had a great time doing it because hearing your story yesterday when we were doing our pre-show and hearing you talk about it, I definitely am inspired. I mean, I wish that I could really do cityscapes because I really wanted. I think that's going to push me now to like really focus on doing environments and like exploring that and adding that because to whatever drawing that I do. So.
No, stop that.
That's you.
I have to ask Jarrell, is that Easy Liner?
Is that what?
On your drawing board? Is that a Duck Brand liner on your desk?
I don't know. It's on a curve. I mean, I have this portable drawing table, and just so things don't keep on sliding, it's a liner that you put in your utensil drawer, so things don't shift around.
Okay, no, I might have photoshopped some of the packaging art for that. So.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's pretty
I know that stuff.
Yeah. So see, I was a fan of your work even back then. So
it's like, I recognize that texture, all right.
Yeah. So it's a great material. It keeps things from sliding off. But yeah, it was so great. I think this is a great last live drawing because now we get to move to talking about your Kickstarter. And this is going to be such a treat because let me stop sharing screen here and let me bring up the Kickstarter. And can everybody see that? Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I want to say. Look at that. The numbers have just shifted from when I looked at it this morning. So
yeah, wow.
So yesterday, I'm gonna say congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I am really blown away.
You are officially backed. Yes. Almost doubled. Doubled.
Yes.
I'll guarantee that you'll be doubled before this is over.
Yeah, I would like to think they were like all the eyes that we brought through Comics Cast have pushed your numbers even more. But I just hope that's the case. But I'm just saying that from yesterday I was talking with Ben during the pre-show, and you were like, what, $300 away from
it was closing in, yeah.
Just $300 away. And not to say that I'm a prophet, but I'm just going to say, I just sort of said, you know what? You're going to be funded by the time we do the show tomorrow. And sure enough, when we called up your page, when you came on, I already knew you were funded, and I was biting my lip because I didn't want to say that. I don't want to spoil it. And now, just between when we launched this morning, when we had you as our guest, to like now, you cleared 2,000. You cleared 2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
amazing. The support, like I said, I think I said this before, but it's worth repeating. Just the support I've gotten from everyone has been overwhelming. I so many backers. It's really exceeded my expectations. People on Twitter that have retweeted things or just reached out and said, I like it. It's been huge.
How can you not fund this? Because you're an incredible guy, funny, you're humble, and great at what you do. So of course you're gonna get funded.
Well, I think that's the good thing about this show, is because it's one thing that you can show the phenomenal artwork, right, which speaks for itself. But by having you here on Let It Out, we get to put the personality behind the artwork. And just like Rick said, your personality, humble guy, immensely talented. The fact that you're still using a mouse to draw all this stuff is just incredible. And to have you on the show, knowing that today you cleared. Well, actually, I think it's yesterday. Yesterday you cleared your goal, but you cleared 2,000 just during this show. And this is one thing that I want to. This is another thing about Let It Out. We do want to showcase our artists. our guest, and talk about their phenomenal skills and be able to tell their story. But also, there's a great thing that I want to talk about. The wisdom that our guests can impart on our audience, and that is how you handled this particular Kickstarter. This is your very first Kickstarter, and now you can join the elite few, or the elite crew that has actually said that their first Kickstarter their first crowdfunding was funded. Now, what I really thought was awesome about your particular campaign, and this is a lesson I think that if I ever were to do my own crowdfunding, or if anybody that's in our audience that wants to do that themselves, is to take note of what Ben did. Look at these 3 things that we see right here. First thing, it's amazing. 27 days. I think it was 3 days ago. It's a 30-day time limit. 3 days ago.
Yeah, started on Friday.
Yeah. 3 days ago, he's funded. And he's funded because, look at this. Ben has really done the math. He's a brilliant, he's a cerebral guy. He's thought about it, and I'm sure he's done some research in terms of what Kickstarters or what other crowdfunders had done. And what he did is he found out, it's my very first time around. I'm unproven. I got the talent, but he kept his goal realistic. And I think that can be kind of an intimidating thing for our potential backers. If they see, like, let's say he had chose to make it 15K. I think that would be a harder thing for people maybe to kind of swallow, wondering if it's going to be completely funded or not. And, if I'm going to back it. He kept his goal very much attainable. And you can see that he was able to clear it. And then this is the most important thing right here. Look at this. And I joked around with him yesterday. I said, "Hey, do you have 180 like family members? Do you have 180 friends?" I was like, if you don't, even if you had, like, let's say you had 20 family members and 20 friends, you have over 100 here that are blind backers, that aren't your friends, don't know anything about you. They only know what they saw through, maybe, they found you through an algorithm, or they stumbled upon your page. They immediately fell in love with your art like I did. And you got 180 people. I mean, that's something that you got to be proud of.
I am incredibly proud of it. I think a few friends I saw on the backer list, I saw somebody who's played softball with. A few of my friends from softball had shared it on Facebook. I didn't really tell anybody. My wife knew, I guess, of course. But I didn't really want to. The whole goal here is to see if I can get something out there that people want, and to be able to keep doing it. So I kept it. I did a lot of research into what the printings and shipping is going to cost, what Kickstarter's fees are going to be, what kind of audience I can find with on my own, and I know there are a lot of great services that help get the word out about your book. And I looked at that too. I really wanted to see how I could do this organically, and I sort of expected to have. I didn't expect this level of success, and it's humbling. But I wanted to see what I could do, what kind of this was like on its own, if it just could get out there.
Yeah,
and just to cover, I mean, as far as the costs go, I still feel like, oh my God, I'm asking people this much for a comic book when especially when you throw in the shipping. And so I just kind of kept it as low as I could.
Can you scroll down? Can you scroll down?
Yeah.
So we can see it.
Yeah, and as we're going through this art, I a lot of the stuff as I showed before, but I think there's a couple that are a little.
Look at this, guys. The first pledge is only $2. Only $2 for the digital edition.
Yeah.
And you support them. I don't think I've seen anything that cheap.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you just look at this, and I think this is why people looked at it. You're zero risk investment. I mean, if you just look at this art, I mean, it's why would you not want to support this? It just looks so fantastic, and I think that's a great lesson to aspiring artists who want to get crowdfunded. Create a distinct look, and then draw what you know.
Can you go down to pledges?
Yeah, and just be very diligent in like just following your passion and things that interest you. And he made it happen. And now this is
the pledges side, Gerald.
Well, I was going to say that you're the cake is baked now. You're funded. So now for the next 27 days, you basically can just keep on. You can keep on figuring out what your stretch goals are going to be.
And really the way this took off so quickly that I'm a little. I had some plans, but they.
Thank you, Gerald. That's what I wanted you to do.
He's talking, so let him talk.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was saying that I had plans for, first of all, continuing the way I was going to promote it. It's just it's just silly content issues on what I was going to post about. And when I was halfway there, when I was almost there, and then that kind of went out the window. Fortunately, I'm very glad that it did. I also, as far as the amount of backers, I'm taken aback. I really so I'm looking at that and saying, okay, I did keep my costs pretty low in terms of the shipping and all that, because that part of it costs so much. The printing and shipping is I really just wanted to cover that. So I'm trying to figure out how much I can scale this and get new things out there to you. So I'm looking into that now, and also looking into some international shipping. I have a few people.
You see, I'm international, so I'd like to know more about that I'll hit you up when I'm here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I didn't want to. I felt almost exclusionary just doing U.S. shipping for now. When I launched it,
look at this.
There's so much to research, and I was like, all right, I know I can handle this, and I can make sure I don't end up losing losing the mortgage payment on shipping it out. So I knew I could get a handle on that, and I figured I would just see where it went. I also, with the international shipping, it can be just so much. I felt like a jerk putting like some pledge that's God knows what. Being an unknown creator, I didn't want to be like, this guy wants all this money to just give me the book. And so I'm going to look into the individual shipping rates and see what we can accomplish there, and hopefully get that out to everybody.
I mean, look, your top tier pledge is just $8.
And you know what? That's testament.
Well, the shipping, it adds on the shipping too. I mean, because
but that $8 is usually where people start their pledges.
Yeah. Well. And I want to say that $8, your most expensive, and I think most issues that you buy, single issues for Kickstarters, they start like maybe they're $10, and then you add in shipping, and it can easily cost like $25 to buy one standalone issue. And this is completely your most expensive pledge is $8. And so I'm looking
there's some add-ons. We have an add-on there that's a little more, but again, I just wanted to. I've never done this before, and I'm doing it myself. And so I wanted to keep it simple. I didn't want just to keep track of all the tiers and to start offering this and that. It was probably a little bit beyond my. Again, like I was saying earlier, I kind of wanted to do this organically and see what could I do on my own. I think I have a good opportunity here because I can. My writing, such as it is, I do that. I can do it all myself. So I was like, I probably could make being as I don't have to divvy up everything, I could probably make this work. And then I just wanted to see, okay, what am I capable of figuring out for, just these initial pledge tiers, and making sure it's not going to cost more than I'm asking for to ship each person, their comic or a couple of comics in terms of the variants. So I just kept it to the digital version, which of course is really easy. You just have to worry about the Kickstarter fees, and in delivering it to everybody on Dropbox or whatever works best for everyone. But also, when the printed stuff, there's the printing on demand, the shipping. And I did do a print on demand just because I didn't know what to expect in terms of backers. Hopefully, as the numbers go up, hopefully I can get to a place where the printing costs themselves will go down, and then we can really get into some cool stretch goals too. So that's what I'm looking into. Actually, before I dialed you guys up to get in the show, is kind of looking into that. I was like, all right, this has gone way past where I thought it would be, certainly where I thought it would be now. And caught a little flat-footed on trying to figure some of that out. So good problems to have. I'm again really just floored. I did not expect this, and the support
well deserved.
Kickstarter, you guys having me on the show, of course, blown away, absolutely blown away.
Well, all I gotta say is like, just do the math here. The most expensive tier, package was $8. You're at over $2,000. You got 181 backers. That just goes to show the love that is already being shown to this. And you got 27 days now to basically coast. You can come up with whatever you want. And we were joking around, is like, what kind of like a little add-on Chotsky stuff there that would just really drive the brand of Captain Lancet and We Are Scarlet Twilight. And I joked around with him. I'm not going to divulge any of those things, but there's some really cool things that you could do to help push the brand and just get some really creative ways that would definitely appeal to those extra people that would want to, like, because now the algorithm is going to work for you. I think now Kickstarter knows that you are successfully funded in 3 days. You can find out all sorts of just ways to promote yourself now, because this is, obviously it's happening much faster, but that was the idea, is like, let's see what this can do, and what kind of legs it has, and give me time to draw then too, because that's what I really love doing, is coming up with these stories and drawing it. And hopefully, as like, all right, if I just do these, I keep it simple, I can get a grasp on that probably, and knock on wood, I mean, anything could go wrong. It's like, wait a second, shipping costs twice what it did a month ago, and then I'd be in some trouble actually. But I wanted to just let it have something that could scale, and then see what it does. So hopefully I can't wait I think there's some small surprises in the story in the first few pages beyond what I have posted there that will be surprising a little bit. But I think, like, okay, this is a cool way to do this. I've seen things like that before. And I hope there's some surprises later on that are a little more of a, like, I compared it to a jump scare in a horror movie, and I hope they accomplish that. And then I also hope that people see sort of what you can expect from the rest of the story, issues 2 through 4. The type of environment we'll be in, I hope you get a sense of the character and what he is drawn from. A lot of the attitudes that you see in those old comics, even the public service announcements they would make really feed into him and his attitude. So, I hope people respond to it. I hope people like it. Oh, they will. They will. And you got 180 plus backers that are responding really well to it. And it's been such a pleasure to show your artwork and just, see your live, during the live drawing, the process is incredible.
I got a question here while we are still talking, because she doesn't know, Sarah here is from Egypt, and she doesn't know how Kickstarter can work from her country. Different countries, different rules. If there's a possibility that you might consider putting the digital format up on Comixology as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's down the line. I want to look into it. I know some people put their comics on Gumroad as well. Big Cartel, I think, is another one I've seen.
Yes.
Definitely gonna look into some options as the campaign's over, as I finish issues 2, 3, and 4 and end the story. I think the story ends on the note where I think it's definitely enough of his adventures. He's gonna resolve his initial issues here. But
If
there could be more, I think, as I think about it. I want to do a lot more August in the future as well with Action Lab when that gets out there. So, yeah, I think that definitely as far as living on in Comixology, I want to do that. Indie Planet, yeah, DojaCon mentioned Indie Planet, absolutely. I think they're tied in with Glam, actually, who's going to print these up, is what I'm planning on. So, I definitely want to live on in that way. Someone asked me this morning about a hardcover. And I said, yeah, I definitely want to do something like that. And I do want to ask the backers, like, does it bother you that there'd be then a collection of this if you bought the floppies? And I just want to see what people think. So I'll probably do a survey of some kind in the near future. I had some plans and they were good plans, but they've changed a little bit now. So
if nothing else, until then, I'll happily back up at it 2 times. I'll send you one of them, Sarah.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Sarah. As far as looking into, I don't know if Kickstarter just doesn't work or doesn't, operate there, or the payment doesn't, or if it's a shipping issue. I'm going to look into the shipping.
It's probably it's payment because here in Europe we got countries that don't do PayPal and such as an example. So that's probably what she's worried about.
Okay.
But whatever the case, I'm sure that if Sarah backs it, she'll get her comic in one way or the other.
Yeah. And I think
we'll figure it out. Absolutely. I definitely want to get this out there.
Yeah. I encourage you, Ben, to if you decide to do the big cartel route or the Gumroad, I think that as you do explore the crowdfunding options versus Indiegogo, and here you have the Kickstarter, it's already there. Is what you could do is totally capitalize on making sure that if supporters came through to do support you through Kickstarter, when you do Indiegogo or Gumroad or these other ones, you do maybe an exclusive cover for those individual places, and that way you're going to probably get a lot of repeat buyers, as well as anybody that supported you on other platforms. They won't feel like, oh, I backed this one and I'm getting, there's something different there. They're still going to get the core issue, but maybe just sort of mix it up a little bit. So that way, who knows? There were going to be people that want to get the big cartel version. They want to get the Kickstarter version. They want to get all those. And if you do,
I definitely want that. And there are some, I did kind of focus on Kickstarter because it was I could wrap my hands around that a little bit. It was just one thing, one platform's fees, one platform's policies, and things like that. And again, complete newbie to this, and wanted to make sure I did it right. So I wanted to keep my goals small and my scope small. Whereas definitely down the road, I want to make sure nobody feels like, oh, great, I have to go buy it somewhere else to get this part of it. I don't want to do that. So I'll see what people think and take it from there. I do have some ideas. There are 2 origin stories, one for Captain Lancet and one for the Villainous, that don't really have a place in the narrative that I would like to do. Probably they'd be 4 pages, very much in the vein of once Batman was a hit, they did that quick origin. It's here's Batman and how he came to be. It would be sort of like that, and it would be a lot of fun to do. There's a sequence like that for Captain Lancet's sidekick. He has kind of a driver, much like the Shadow has. There's a little bit like Alfred, but more of a salt of the earth, middle class, lower class guy. That's his companion and helper. So his origin story does actually tie into the narrative, and it'll be the start of issue 2.
Well, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. I actually wanted to note one thing that we didn't actually get a chance to talk about during the live drawing of Captain Lancet, which I thought was really cool. Was the inspiration behind Captain Lancet in terms of remember you had mentioned something about your or the time period that it happened, and you talked about your grandfather and the inspiration stuff. You want to elaborate on that, because I thought that was so cool to see how your past experiences, your talking to your relatives, how that all tied together. You want to talk a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the story about my grandfather actually had to do with August.
August. I'm sorry, I meant August.
No, there's a lot here. And I've lived with it for years. You guys are just taking it in.
Yes.
The one of the things that really got me thinking for August, I had the idea for him in I think 2011, 2012, and it was at that point I had the design of him pretty much set, and I knew what I kind of wanted him to do, what kind of environment I wanted him to be in. I wanted a kind of spaghetti Western setting. I wanted science fiction elements. I wanted Star Wars stuff. And that was the idea. And I kind of, the first go at it, which I think I posted on Instagram if you go way, way back, I posted some of those old panels. I was trying to treating it almost as like a ad-libbed improv writing thing.
Yeah.
He crashes on this planet, and we find out more about him as we go. And I would almost just make it up on the go.
Right.
That didn't work out that well. I never got too far into it, as I'd get ahead of myself. I'd trip over things. I'd say, oh, I have to establish this back then. It wasn't a great way to go about it. I'm sure somebody who's a better writer could approach a project that way, and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I am not that person. So as I had him in my head, I knew I wanted, our 80s stuff in there. And I was watching Doctor Who at the time, the revival with Christopher Eccleston. And an element I really, really liked was that he had destroyed Gallifrey, his home planet, and all of his other people. And it was dealt with in that way. People were, I think there was a time war, so he sort of had to, they were fighting the Daleks, and he had to just get rid of them both, or they were going to destroy everybody. And it added a lot of pathos to his character, and it's dealt with really well. I was like, I like that. And I also thought, Jarrell, to get back to what you were mentioning, this story I had in my head from my grandfather. When I grew up in the 80s, I was more than terrified of, atomic war. I thought we'd all be living, I thought I'd be like Mad Max at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And it's just the environment it was scary. We'd watch The Day After or something like that in school, or I don't think we watched that in school, but it was there, and it was a scary thing. It was a source of anxiety for a kid who understands but doesn't quite understand those things. And I think I was in the 5th or the 6th grade, maybe even younger than that, 4th grade or something like that. So I was, 9 or 10 or 11, something in that area. And I had to do a report on, we were covering World War II in history class, and we had to talk to relatives, if we had them, who had been in the service, or ask them around then and ask them their recollections about things. And my grandfather on my mom's side had been in the service then. He was, I think, in the medical corps. And I asked him about, what were your views when the war ended, when they had the atomic bomb. And he, as a kid, I was like, you see protests and things, and you kind of wish those weapons weren't around. I mean, I think sort of all do on some level, but you view it as a kid, it's just a scary thing. And he's like, well, to us, it was like a reprieve. We were going to have to go fight all this more. It was going to be horrible. It was going to be scary, and worried about it. So to us, it was great. It was like a miracle almost.
Yeah.
And there's more than I can get into there on, right, wrong about those things. That obviously an expert would need to, a historian probably knows more about it. Someone who was alive at the time probably has a better viewpoint. Obviously, I don't really go there in the moral ins and outs of that because I couldn't. But what struck me was the difference in the two viewpoints. Sorry to get off that. There is like, we can see things one way, and it can be 180, and that resonated in my head. It's like, well, what if one person it was all folded into one person, all those feelings people develop about those things. And so that point in August where Mars is destroyed is a experimental weapon. It's a new thing, and nobody knows quite what it'll do or how it will affect things in the galaxy and within the story. And I just thought it was a way to dramatize that difference in perspective. So that was where I think the story for me really started to gel, is when that Doctor Who thing, and remembering that story my grandpa had told me, and being struck by that difference. And I was like, yeah, that's the thing. And I remember that Luke Skywalker thing I mentioned earlier with the little Lego stormtrooper yelling at him. And I thought, yeah, that's there's enough there that I'm not just doing kind of an Indiana Jones Star Wars adventure with a slightly different character. And cartoons sprinkled in.
Yeah, and I think that's. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk a little bit about that too, because I want everybody to remember that even though this Kickstarter for We Are Scarlet Twilight is going on right now, which is funded, we want you to back that. But I just wanted to also just reiterate that the deep ties that have to do with August, which is going to be coming out later on this year. Yeah. So definitely, we want you to be on the show to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Drop. But now we have to get to that part where I could talk to you for hours, and I just want to we have to get to the show where we have to go what we call the Oscar speech, which is where I get a chance to, where I had to like get a little weepy here because this is where we get you to talk about yourself and your. Oh, Rick is like waving at me. What do you wait? What's going on?
I've tried to get your attention for the last like 20 minutes. We got two more pieces on the art show that came on as soon as we stopped showing off. But I want to show them anyways. Okay. I had hoped. I do have them ready. Hang on one second. First one here is from the big boss, Joe Tolliver himself.
Oh, awesome.
Woo! Look at that. I love that.
Amazing. Kind of a Gene Colan look to that.
Yes.
I really like it.
Love it.
And speaking of Tollivers, here's my favorite Tolliver, Logan Tolliver.
I like it. That's awesome. That is a really nice drawing.
Yeah,
I like the style as well. How he made him look. Yeah. He reminds me of like a Miles Morales version of in some ways with the whole the style and everything. Really good.
Very good. The Tollivers represent on the show. They definitely brought their art game. I mean,
Logan Tolliver killing it as always.
Yeah. Okay, so great job. I'm glad that that's a tremendous feeling, Ben. I'm sure to like know that you have fan art now. You have fan art coming in there. So
amazing. I don't know what to say.
Well, this is where you get a chance to figure out what you want to say, because we would like to go to the segment of the show we call the Oscar speech. So the mic is now in your hands, and we're going to solo you out, and basically you just tell us what your final thoughts are. Okay, so here you go.
Yeah, all right. I want to thank you guys for having me on. This has been awesome, and I'm so glad you had room to feature me in my work. It's been great to just talk about it and to share it with people. So I really appreciate it. To get kind of Oscar, I'd love to thank my wife for, she's always been like a great person that, she supports me in doing this and it bounces ideas. She's a filmmaker and animator. So, we have some overlap, and like, we both really love to tell stories, and seeing her stories come along and how she sees mine come along has been great. And I'd really like to also thank everyone on Twitter and Instagram that's likes my stuff, that follows me. You put this stuff out in the world. As an artist, you sit there all day, you draw. You don't really know if it's. You hope it's good, but you don't really know. And it's when someone's, oh, this is really cool. I love it. I love the style. It means the world. So I want to thank everybody for that.
And that's great. I wasn't sure. I was like, I want to make sure that I get your last word there. And it's been a pleasure.
For me too.
It's been so fun to showcase your art and to hear your story. And I just like the fact that we can actually even say that you were funded within the 24 hours we last talked.
Again, I'm blown away. I did not expect it. It's given me some new things to plan for.
Yes.
But I'm glad to have that problem.
Yeah, that's a good problem. It's a good problem. And we appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do. And let us know. Keep in touch. We are more than happy to feature any of your new crowdfunding campaign that you may be pursuing, or when August is ready to drop. We want to like the privilege of being able to host you again.
You guys will hear from me then. Absolutely.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we talk a little bit about our partner, our charity partner. And that partner is Golden Fight. And let me show that URL. And let me share that screen real quick. And one moment. There we go. All right. So this is Golden Fight. And Golden Fight is an organization that is near and dear to us. We have no financial ties to them, and we just appreciate the honor of promoting them because they're dear friends of ours, of our founder, and they're an organization that I like to say is big enough and small enough at the same time. Small enough in the sense that they're not a nationwide organization. They are highly focused in the Mid-Atlantic region, my neck of the woods, which is Virginia, Delaware, DC, Virginia area. And what they do is they help families that have children that are afflicted with very serious diseases like cancer. And that's where they're really big. They have huge hearts, and they can basically say that 97 to 98% of the money that they raise goes to helping those families. That 2 or 3% that they use for is a very nominal amount, and that goes for mostly just administrative things. They have big hearts, And I don't know of many organizations that are charitable organizations that can say that that they definitely have a heart. Their leadership basically has lots of friends and family that have been found in the situation, so they know how trying this can be for the family. So if you want to check them out, go check them out at goldenfight.org. You know, and if you can find it, if you feel like you were looking for that charitable organization to support, that this is one of them. Check that out. We also are planning, hopefully, to maybe do some sort of partnership fundraiser with them a little later on the year. Details to come. Please look forward to that. And we definitely want you to keep this on the forefront. Golden Fight, it's someplace that you can kind of check out and see what kind of good they're doing. So as we close the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about the future. You know, what we're going to be doing at Comics Cast. And Rick, you want to take the lead and talk a little bit about some of the future things that you're doing, that you're helming at Comics Cast?
Well, yeah, I'm going to helm when come the 24th of next month.
Yes,
I will be having my first video up of my mentor blog show. That's all about bringing in. I bring in a student that I bring them and talk about a little, trying to help them with a certain project. They have a certain subject. Let it be anatomy, let it be foreshortening, all that kind of jazz. But I don't do it. I'm too lazy to teach. So luckily I got some really great friends that are artists. I got that will come in and help us. As an example, the first episode here will be with Robert Marzullo. There is one as well with Marius. We've seen from Borbane early on. He's gonna do some incredible lighting studies. Omira Malande, I've been talking to. Chris Turner as well, shortly, and many others. More will come. You'll just have to wait and see, because I'm not gonna spoil anything. It'll be great. I absolutely love what I'm doing. It's basically a free hour of one-on-one tutoring with a well-known artist in one way or the other.
It's going to be phenomenal, and like Rick alluded to, mark your calendars. April 24th. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Comics Cast, and it's amazing. We want to share our journey, the accomplishments, the phenomenal guests. We're going to have a lot of our former guests that are going to appear, so it's going to be a great show. And we're going to debut. We're going to drop a few things. We talked about the mentor block that Rick's going to be helming, and there's going to be a couple other shows that we're going to talk about. One is obviously the artist studio inside the artist studio that Joe Tolliver is helming. We've got to see a few episodes from that. And we have another one that we're going to be debuting, and I'm going to be so proud to introduce the guests and actually the premise of that other show when it comes around. So mark your calendars for the 24th. I think it's going to be, Rick, is going to be like a noon to like 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe.
No, you're asking the Dane. You're asking the Dane that lives in Danish time. Okay. What American time we're gonna play at? No, that's your job.
Okay, we got to jump on some toes there, I think. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be April 24th. It's a Saturday, and it's gonna be 1 hour at 1 EST. It will start. Yeah, that's what we decided. Okay, alrighty. So look for that, and maybe we might have Ben Morse do a reprise his appearance.
I would love to.
Yeah. So that being said, I think that's it. I think
no.
Oh, there's more. There's more. Okay, Rick.
If you like what you are seeing here, if you heard something you like that we are going to bring up or is already going on, go to our YouTube channel. Right now, when we're done here, there is a ton of content already for you waiting, especially inside the indie studios. There's 2 episodes with Joe Tolliver. I think one of them is Roy Mercado, and the other was, what's his name? Sorry, Armando Ramirez. That's right. And both Joe is killing it. The editing and the interviews with both amazing artists is sublime. So go watch them after this. And that's not just, I'm not just recommending it, I'm telling you, go watch it.
Yeah, and
you too, Benjamin.
I'll be there.
And I'm going to end the show with one more plug for Ben. You can see here at the bottom, the scrolling ticker. Go check it out. And also go check out his Kickstarter. because it's funded, baby. It's funded. And we want to make sure that we still throw some love towards our independent creator guest, Ben Morse. So yes, do that. So that being said, look out for I'm actually going to be not doing a show next weekend, but Rick may be doing it with a special surprise guest. I will return probably in 2 weeks, mid-April. We'll see what Rick does, and if he wants to take on the challenge, then it's up to him. We'll see what happens.
Hey, listen, if you can do it, this will be easy.
Yes. Oh, that's what it is. It's easy. Okay. All right. So we will check you out. Show some love to Ben Morse. Go check out his Kickstarter. Support it. Go check out his links, and we will see you next weekend, and for me, 2 weekends from now on Comics Cast. Let It Out. Take us out, Rick.